We are live here for the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, the championship race. Everything on the line here at Kansas after 18 races. We have 4 drivers going for a chance at a championship. Joining you for the final time in this season is Dave Huckleberry, the producer, showing you these wonderful sights from Kansas, as well as myself, Gerald Campbell, your lead announcer, and my co-announcer here, Dave Westergreen. Qualifying is underway. After qualifying, we're going to get to ask one question to all of our championship drivers, all 4 of them, just to find out what's on their mind before going at a chance to make history and put their names down into the books. These are our 4 drivers, our 4 stars, and our 4 storylines here tonight. On top right there, in no particular order, is Ethan Burrell, the only driver out of the 4 that has yet to claim a championship in the Cup Series, trying to be able to correct that tonight. In second there, you see Matthew Weeks, the regular season champion. And he was on such a hot streak there, coming into the night with a lot of confidence, leading his Pro Edge team there, 2 Pro Edge drivers to race for it. Who's his other Pro Edge teammate? That's Tate Lytle there in the 56, our most, I guess, profound winner of the Cup Series champion. 3 of them to his name, trying to be able to do the unthinkable and get 4. Also right behind them, it's the bad man there, Tyler Fody for Lake Norman, our most recent champion, last season's champion, trying to go back-to-back. Only one other driver was able to do that, and that was Tate Lytle. And now Tyler Fody is trying to be able to go for 2 here tonight. Those are our 4 drivers. Quick thoughts for before we start interviewing some of these after qualifying, David?
Kansas is an exciting track. It's a really good place, I think, to have your championship race. In real life, we're seeing some of the best finishes of all time at Kansas right now. So I anticipate these drivers are going to have a handful in this next gen car. They're going to be ripping the wall a good bit, I believe, during these runs. I've heard it's loose. I've heard it's tight. The car is going to be a challenge, and in order to win this championship, these guys have to fight against their self-proclaimed most difficult competition. We did not get any underdogs. It is probably your 4 favorites in this Final 4. So these guys are not only fighting the other 30 or so drivers who are entered in this race, but they're specifically fighting the best other 3 drivers in this field for a championship. And it's going to be a fun little race. I'm really excited to see who brings it home.
Absolutely. Got 2 Chevys and 2 Toyotas for this championship fight. 2 of them are teammates, but all of them are competitors. Qualifying is almost wrapped up right now. Leading the charge is Scott Crump. None of our championship 4 have put down a lap, which leads me to believe that they've done some practicing here before getting into tonight's race, knowing when's the right time to go down to qualifying. How many laps do you think these drivers have put down going into tonight, knowing how important qualifying is going to be at a racetrack like this?
A bunch, yeah. They certainly have qualifying nailed down. We saw a number of laps for guys in practice. Ethan Burrell was the fastest car in practice, but the way iRacing builds practice, often you get that first lap in early, and then the track tightens up with that rubber on the racetrack. So, the guy who's fastest in qualifying, the guy who's fastest on the first lap of the race, that might not be the case later on in the event. Looks like it's second lap fastest for these guys. So they haven't finished their second lap yet. Matthew Weeks is coming off of turn 4 right now. Burrell's also ripping through 3 and 4. He's on the bottom. Weeks rode the top. So different. They were running different lines. We'll see what happens here.
Well, right now, Tyler Fody, one of our championship drivers, is on top. Right behind him, Matthew Weeks. And
then,
now qualifying in is
yep.
Ethan Burrell. So 1, 2, 3 right now are championship 4. And then guess who just got into there? Tate Lytle now has taken the top spot from those championship drivers. It's already Hail Mary, already haymakers being thrown. And the qualifying is just another way to show who's the top dog going into today's championship race.
No points. Reminder, no points. So winning the pole for Tate Lytle, that will not have any sort of advantage on this championship race. It is strictly best finisher. Who's the one who gets this final championship. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead
we
and
could
bring
start. Yep.
in, yeah, we're going to start off with Matthew Weeks. Matthew Weeks, our regular season champion. Well, right now you're fourth of four, and that's not bad considering that you're starting fifth, but that just shows how strong these championship four are going to be. We want a real quick answer. What is it going to take for you to be able to get the championship tonight?
To racing the best of the best in this league in the Cup Series, you got to everything has to be perfect. No mess ups. Be good on pit road. No mistakes. Track position is like you had to be 120% tonight to beat these guys.
Well, good luck out there, Matthew.
All right, thank you.
Let's go ahead and bring up our next one. That's going to be Tyler Fody. Let's go ahead and bring up Tyler Fody here, who qualified in the fourth position. Tyler Fody, you got us?
Yep.
Well, you're qualifying fourth, third out of the four drivers racing for this championship. So we asked Matthew Weeks this question. We want to know what it's going to take for you to walk away a two-time champion.
Oh, just perfect execution, really, from flag to flag, and a little luck. And, yeah, I think that's what it's going to take. All these guys are the best, so we just got to execute.
Well, thank you. We hope you do well out there, Tyler.
Appreciate it.
That's Tyler Fody. Let's bring up the next driver. We're going to go right in the line of how they qualify. That's going to be Ethan Burrell here. Ethan, you qualified second. You're the only driver out of the four to not have a championship in the Cup Series. What is it going to take for you to be the one on top when you're racing against the best of elite?
There's no way around it. It's either going to be the best luck I've had or the best single race performance I've ever had. These guys are insane. So I'm going to lay it all out there, man. I'm not going to walk away from here thinking what I could have done different.
There you go. That's Ethan Burrell. Good luck out there tonight.
Thanks, buddy.
And then, of course, who got pole? None other than Tate Lytle. Bad man Tate Lytle, able to get the pole, able to lay down the first W, as you would say, against your championship competitors. You're able to get the pole over them. What is it going to take for you that you've done so many times up to this point to be able to lay down a fourth championship here?
Gonna have to be fast, be smart, and be lucky.
There you go. Well, good luck out there. And we hope you are able to put on a good show for everyone.
Thanks, fellas. Are you?
Those are our championship four. These are our qualifying order. As we stated, the ones in orange. Oh, we got a message there. The ones in orange are our championship four, and those are the ones you're going to want to keep an eye on. Qualifying from the front row is going to be Pro Edge's driver, Tate Lytle in the 56. Qualifying second tonight, Ethan Burrell for Do Good Motorsports. Starting in third, kind of playing the peanut butter in the sandwich there, just trying to go out and have a really good run for his Lake Norman team. It's going to be Ethan Stanley. Tyler Fody, another Lake Norman driver, going for a championship, going to be starting from the fourth position. And in fifth position, the final driver of our championship four, going to be starting from the fifth spot, is Matthew Weeks. Chad Frankenfield, able to qualify sixth. Seventh is Justin Wadsworth, our rookie champion this season. Joshua Clark going to be starting from the 8th position. Scott Crump starting from the 9th position. Jesse Racimus starting 10th tonight. And Johnny Thomas 11th. And David Tooker will round out the top 12 for Pro Edge.
Starting in 13th will be Richie Hearn. Starting 14th tonight is Leighton Norgard. Christopher will start in 15th. He and Hearn, those 4D Racewear teammates. Starting 16th will be the outside wall magnet Gavin Hibbs. Starting 17th is Ryan Schuld, and starting in 18th tonight will be Justin Fortner. Starting in 19th will be Justin Vandermarl, and starting 20th is Kachow Corey Abbott. Starting 21st is Cheers Brent Jones, and starting 22nd will be Ryan Gavel. Starting 23rd will be Nick Massey, and Trey Holmes rounds out our top 24 in 24th.
25th position is going to be Mark Rebellis. 26th position, Michael Goodman. 27th position, Joshua Personette. And 28th position is Ty McIntosh. 29th is going to be Seth Rawls. Wyatt Canado will be starting from the 30th position, and starting 31st, our Canadian driver, Michael Hossack. Those are our 31 drivers competing tonight. It's going to be a tale of two tales, the race for the win, and of course, the race for the overall win, the championship that's on the line. These drivers are just about ready to get going on track. The next time they come back around, they will be green, and they will be racing for not only glory, but money on the line as well.
I tried to line up how much money that is for the champion. It's somewhere in the realm of $500. It might even be more. Gerald, you've won a Cup Series championship. What are you thinking these guys are kind of experiencing, given that you've had to experience it in the past?
Yeah, both of my championships came from different situations. Right now with these drivers, the intensity that they have to bring to this is on the highest of marks. It's not a good finish that you need. You can't expect a good finish to be what it takes to win this championship. Not when 4 of your competitors qualified in the top 5, and the top 4 drivers you would say that Elite has to offer. Only the best is going to be able to do it. And these drivers are going to have nothing but nerves and also the expectation to try to go out there and race to their top ability.
Yep. Here we go.
These drivers are going to be coming back around now to take the green flag and to get this 167 lap race underway here. Well, here we are, folks. Over 2,500 laps up to this point leads us to this inevitable point. A race for a championship where the racing gets good and the good get racing. We're green flag here at Kansas, and Tate Lytle able to lead it off with Ethan Burrell to his side.
Here comes Tyler Fode peeking to the outside of Ethan Burrell, but it's Tate Lytle off of turn 2 with the race lead, and he will jump to that preferred top lane right in front of Ethan Burrell. I saw these guys ripping the outside wall in practice, but Tate Lytle's down to the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3.
Drivers were having a hard time deciding where they would want to be at the start of the race. Everyone feels like eventually you will slide up to the top, but here comes Ethan Burrell to try to take the lead at the line. I'm not sure who got it. I think it was Tate Lytle, but just inches over Ethan Burrell at the line. But now Ethan Burrell takes the lead in front of the field.
That was a mighty impressive move by Ethan Burrell coming off of turn 4. He rocketed to the bottom of the racetrack, sniped the lead from Tate Lytle, and we know Tate is very, very cautious. The guy who's not being cautious is Chad Frankenfield back here in 3rd. Tate, very cautious on the start of these races, likes to save his tires, play for the long run. Ethan Burrell not interested in doing that from 2nd place. He's rocketed to the lead here on lap 2, and he will take it from Tate Lytle. Tate loose on the apron there. Small mistake, but not one that's going to cost him. They're 3 wide for 3rd.
Not exactly where Tyler Fode would like to be, a 3 sandwich on the high side, but luckily we'll have the preferred spot there and have the momentum on the outside to clear himself. 3 wide now behind him. One of those drivers is our rookie of the championship. That is the number 6
Stanley
there.
into
Oh, a little bit of contact between those 2 drivers. They do have to be careful. So does Matthew Weeks. He is not in the preferred spot. He sees his 3 championship contenders all leading the front of the field, and now he is mired back in this traffic.
Yeah, I mean, think about last week, though. Matthew Weeks at Richmond. Matthew Weeks wasn't really a contender. He saw a lot of his championship contenders riding up at the front of the field. Matthew Weeks did everything right. He played the clean game, and then once it got down to the end of the race, Matthew Weeks performed the strategy call, stayed out, and won the race. And, you know, he came on late in that event. So don't be worried, Matthew Weeks fans. You see him in 8th right now. These guys are burning their tires up, racing really hard in front. Weeks will come right back to the front. He'll be a contender before this thing's over.
The only thing Weeks is going to have to be concerned about is he going to be able to make those passes. The last 4 or 5 races, that is where his struggles have been, is being able to complete those passes. He's able to have the speed, and quite a bit of speed, as being the regular season champion so far. He definitely had the momentum, but can he be able to make the passes? As we do have some passes up to the front there, a lot of drivers are starting to look up to the high side. Here comes Chad Frankenfield to the front of the field already.
Yep, Chad Frankenfield got aggressive, rocketed to the high side, and he is taken the lead away from Ethan Burrell. Scott Crump has also bypassed Tate Lytle, gone to third. Ethan Stanley now has rocketed to fourth over Tate Lytle. So the 40, the 56, the 11, and the 37 all being kind of overwhelmed by these guys racing really hard, pushing really, really hard early in this race. On those new tires, I think that our Championship 4 are playing conservative here and trying to make sure that they have tires if this race should go green for a long stretch of time.
I think they're playing conservative, but I think most of all, they're playing to what their competitors are doing. They are watching each other probably more than any of the other drivers on track as to how they are taking this this momentum. How are they going now? Are they waiting? And right now it looks like they're all trying to play the same strategy here. Just keep each other within distance, within shooting range to be able to make the moves that they need to be able to make.
Yep. And you can see, right, Ethan Stanley attacking Ethan Burrell, but Tyler Fode's right there, right? And that's two teammates going after Ethan Burrell, whose do-good teammates are not really up at the front of the field right now. Michael Goodman's way back in 28th spot. So, you know, Ethan's kind of by himself up here, but Fode, Tate Lytle, they've got teammates working with them up here at the front of the field. And, you know, that's going to make an impact, I think, at the end of this race, because Ethan Burrell will not have those friends. He's going to have to do it all on his own. But we've seen him make that work over the course of this season to both of his wins.
It definitely looks like the outside is the easier way to go around here. A lot less driving errors from drivers going on to the outside, but still yet to decide on what's best for the tires. Ethan Burrell gets a good run. Now going to go to the inside of Ethan Stanley. That is a battle for third, but we do have a battle for the lead. Scott Crump able to dive it in. Is he going to be able to clear himself a Chad? He's going to just barely get in front. Oh, boy. That's in front of all of them.
Those are two best friends, too. Those guys have never not gotten along with each other.
Oh.
Very close racing here into turn one between Scott Crump and Chad Frankenfield. Crump with that preferred outside lane here. He might be able to hold the edge off of turn two, and he'll get there. Scott Crump to the race lead.
For now. For now. Chad Frankenfield is definitely not going to want to stay behind him. It definitely seeing some drivers starting to use a little bit of drafting help to be able to make the move. Here comes Chad Frankenfield trying to get back into the wake of the 90 car, see if he could be able to make the move. Still have, so far, this racetrack has offered up multiple grooves of racing and has produced some really good side-by-side action so far in this event.
Yeah, I mean, and that's Kansas for you. Kansas is one of the best racetracks on the NASCAR circuit right now. I mean, it's produced some of the best races we've seen over the last, 2 or 3 seasons, especially once they got to this next-gen car, where that progressive banking has really started to shine. Not to mention, it's a little bit aged since its last repave, and so Kansas has that kind of characteristic of it'll run really, really, wide open early in the run, but the tires will wear over the course of a run, and that will give it that green flag feel where good drivers are able to save their tires, and you really feel like the best drivers come out on top of this race.
Well, what we're not seeing is our Championship 4. Anywhere in the top 5, they've all fallen back. Now, some of them are in a little bit better shapes than others. I don't really like where Matthew Weeks is at right now. Yeah. He is in a hornet's nest that could go wrong at any moment, as you see some drivers making some contact.
Here's a block between two of our guys, Tyler Fode, Tate Lytle. They got a little bit aggressive, and now David Tooker's trying to get underneath the 40 car.
Tyler
almost.
Fode.
Yep, trying to defend Tate Lytle right there, and that's a battle for that second spot in the Championship 4. And he's also trying to hold off David Tooker, who's a teammate to Tate Lytle and who can run interference a little bit for that 56. So Fode having to play a little bit of defense, but unable to do so, and Tate Lytle takes over that 8th position.
Yeah, it's gone the other way. We thought that Lake Norman was going to have some help up there, but they have fallen back so far that now they've gotten into where the Pro Edge drivers are. And Tyler Fode does not like what he sees with all those Pro Edge drivers starting to play a little bit more aggressiveness towards him. So he's trying to keep both of them behind him and be able to somehow race back up there. Oh,
we almost had a spin back in the field. Corey Abbott was sideways coming off of turn 2, managed to save it in the Lightning McQueen number 73.
So far, these drivers have been able to keep it straight, but it is not from a lack of effort of spinning. As you see Corey Abbott make the contact, I've seen multiple cars accidentally slide up into the wall. They are putting so much throttle into it, so much speed going into the turn. and it's just that fine razor's edge of pushing it in to the track. Oh, Ryan Gable into the wall, and Norgard as well.
Sideways, yeah, they're all over the place here. We also got our battle for second. That's what we're looking at right now. Chad Frankenfield's maybe overcooked the right front tire a little bit on that 15 car. Not terribly surprising. That's kind of what he does. But Justin Wadsworth is the driver coming up here on the bottom in that 6 car. That is our Rookie of the Year probable champion. I think all he had to do was start this race, and he was pretty much locked into it. So, Rookie of the Year Justin Wadsworth putting together one of his best performances, racing for second with Chad Frankenfield.
Well, our biggest mover of the race has been that 95 there, Gavin Hibbs. No wonder a driver that feels so comfortable running up against the wall, sometimes maybe a little bit too comfortable with running up against the wall, has now worked his way up into the 4th position from a 16th place starting position. So a very good maneuvering to be able to get up there. Now taking a look at maybe a top 3 position in front of him.
Yep, going around Ethan Stanley is Gavin Hibbs. We've seen Stanley cook the tires off of that 92 car all season long in this next-gen car. And while Ethan Stanley was able to win the Xfinity Series Championship on Monday, he has not been able to replicate that success in this Cup car. And it's been a little bit surprising because I've raced with Ethan Stanley quite a bit at this point, and he's a very, very capable driver, very, very strong at saving the tires in that Xfinity car. But man, this Cup car has just kind of been an enigma for him, and we don't see that playoff banner on that 92 anymore, and that's a big part of why is he just has not been able to keep the tires on the car.
What I find so entertaining is that our Championship 4 have very similar racing habits, and that is, of course, they don't overdrive their stuff or use up their stuff, and they focus on those long runs, and we're seeing it. All 4 of them are running practically the same pace as well as in the same position right now. Usually in these Championship 4 battles, you would see one driver that maybe doesn't have the inept ability to have the long run pace, so then maybe they focus more on the short runs. But all 4 of these drivers, I think, feel confident in their long run pace to where they have no problem with right now trying to see who's going to be the best at it later on in the event.
And they're all kind of running that bottom lane on both sides of the racetrack right now, very clearly an attempt to save the right front tire, move forward at the end of the run as this race goes green and kind of feels like a green flag race. Ethan Burrell, of course, jumps to the top to disprove my point, but Tyler Fode and Tate Lytle are running the bottom together right now. Nose to tail, Fode has gotten back around Tate Lytle. Matthew Weeks has tracked up to 11th right behind them. So 3 Pro Edge cars directly behind Tyler Fode, who has made it very difficult for those Pro Edge cars to pass over the course of this season, and especially the last few weeks. He knew that every single point might matter, and last week it came down to, well, it was going to be 1 point between he and Matthew Weeks if we had a surprise winner. Unfortunately, it didn't go any of those guys' way. Both Weeks and Fode made it into this final race, but maybe he pays for those sins here, as it were, at some point if he has to try to get around one of these Pro Edge cars, and they might remember the difficulty he provided them earlier in the season.
Definitely a lot of great racing here. One thing that these Championship 4 probably are not wanting to see right now is a caution. That will set everything back for them, as they will find themselves on equal tires and deep into the field at the same point. So these Championship 4 are hoping for a long green flag run. So far, it's happening, but I say that, and then the back there, the 88 almost got turned. Came out of the turn completely sideways. He left tire tracks on the track. So not what he wanted, to say the least. But there is definitely some hard racing going on back further in the pack. But again, like I was saying, they have 6 sets of tires here tonight. So these drivers are not going to have to worry about running out of tires, I do believe.
No, and I don't know if you can make this race on one stop. 167 laps, that might be a lot. I think you're going to have to make 2 pit stops. We'll see, right? If they get up to lap 60, 70 and they have it pit, we'll start to question it. But you'll need to make at least 84 laps, I believe, in order to be able to make it on one stop. So my assumption is this will be a 2-stop race. We'll see some guys divided into thirds. We'll see some guys run the first run a little bit longer and then split the second run in half and run a couple of shorter runs. There'll be some differing strategies, but one thing that is for sure right now is that the 37 car, Ethan Burrell, is the car on the move. He has started to catch up to this front four that have kind of started to fall back, I think. Their tires are starting to wear a little bit. Ethan Burrell's running lap times that are a little bit faster, and he's caught up to the back of Ethan Stanley, but Stanley obviously one of those guys who's a teammate of one of the final four that is running back there in 8th place, Tyler Fody. So Stanley might not make it so easy on Ethan Burrell to get on by.
That has been the word for this playoffs race so far this season is you can catch a guy, but can you get around the guy? And we're going to find out if that's going to be the case here. Ethan Burrell's caught up to a very aggressive Ethan Stanley, who just won the Xfinity Championship.
Yep.
A champion, Ethan Stanley, and the aggression in the Xfinity Series paid off for him perfectly as he was able to beat the likes of Matthew Weeks in that race. So just to give you an idea, there's championship caliber drivers even outside our championship 4.
Yeah, even one right behind our 4th place championship driver back there. And I know it's maybe a sore spot for you, Gerald, but the Truck Series Championship was decided on Sunday as well. Didn't go your way. Went Jesse Racimus's way, who was our Daytona winner. He's running 12th right now, hanging out right with Matthew Weeks. And if I'm, giving advice to Jesse Racimus, I'd say stay right there. Run behind that guy. He is going to take you to the front of the field. If you can keep pace with him without overcooking your tires, I think Matthew Weeks will be at the front of this race here before too long.
Absolutely. Very good drive from Jesse Racimus this season in all forms of aspects. A really pivotal year. Pivotal. I don't know the word. a good season for that season. 70 so far this season. But we are starting to have that battle. Chad Frankenfield is really starting to hold up these guys behind him. Ethan Stanley has turned on the afterburners. Ethan Burrell started to catch him, and then Ethan Stanley decided it was time to go as he is now... Wow, what happened to Chad Frankenfield?
Float up big
time.
Gavin into him. Ethan's down to the bottom on Chad. Chad's might get a problem here.
Yeah, he lost a lot of speed down the straightaway for some reason. He's got it back at a horrible point for Ethan Burrell. Side by side with him. Oh, back there. Oh, they got around. Looks like it was that Corey Abbott? He's going to come back on racetrack.
Yeah, it is Corey Abbott. Yeah, sideways. Big save from Corey Abbott. This car does not get turned around, but he very nearly lost the 73 car and ruined our cautionless race to this point. So far, so good, though.
He almost went right into the inside wall, but able to keep it somewhat straight there and able to come back. So very lucky for Corey Abbott in that aspect. That just shows you that there is hard racing going on all over this racetrack right now.
Another couple of very good friends that have not had any problems whatsoever with each other this season, Ethan Burrell and Chad Frankenfield. As Gavin Hibbs has started to fall back, and look who has arrived on the scene right behind Gavin Hibbs. It's 2 of our Championship 4, Tyler Fody and Tate Lytle. They are both starting to move towards the front here as this race continues to go green.
Yeah, you can hear the choo-choo train coming here behind Ethan Burrell, and I'm sure Ethan Burrell realizes that as well. Probably wishes that Chad would give him a little bit more space, considering that he just let 2 guys go for some issue that he had, and then somehow gathered it up right beside Ethan Burrell and able to keep him from passing from then on. Yep. So Ethan Burrell probably a little bit more aggressive at this point with who he's having to deal with more than the specifics of it.
I think Ethan Burrell understands that patience is going to be important in this race, but I do want to take us back to what Ethan Burrell... Oh, there he goes! Get a clear Chad coming off a 2. And I want to take us back to what Ethan Burrell said before the race because I thought it was an excellent statement. He said, I don't want to leave here wondering what I could have done differently. He's going to go out and be as aggressive as he can be, and right now he has been the front runner of our Final Four, and he is being pretty aggressive with these passes. He's certainly in the best position of the Final Four to this point, and we're a long way from the end of the race, but Ethan Burrell's running a great race at this point, and he's following up on what he told us before the race has started. So, Ethan's doing a great job, and for the one guy in this Final Four without a championship at this level, that's been a little bit shocking, but he might have a little extra motivation to go out there and put that champion trophy next to his name.
Now, the question I have is about how much longer these drivers should be able to go on gas. I do believe they can make it to after lap 50, probably somewhere in between lap 50 or lap 60, depending on how much they've been able to stay on the gas. But the question of that is the tire degradation going to continue to tick down to where these drivers like these Championship 4 that saved and focused on saving, is it going to show any promise, any ability to really pay off? Right now, Ethan Burrell has almost got to that point, but you also have to remember when Ethan Burrell started to save, he was at the lead. Well, we're on lap 34. When does it start to pay off, and when does he get back up to the lead to see if it works out in the end?
I would argue it's paying off right now. Ethan Burrell's around Justin Wadsworth for third. Tyler Fode just got around Chad Frankenfield for that fifth spot. Tate Lytle's on by Chad for sixth. Those guys are starting to move forward. They are very clearly the fastest cars on racetrack right now. Scott Crump's up front. He's running about a tenth slower than Ethan Burrell, Tyler Fode, and Tate Lytle at the moment. The guy I'm wondering of when he's going to turn it on is Matthew Weeks. He might still be hanging out, but he's back in 8th. His lap time's not nearly as quick as the trio of Burrell, Fode, and Lytle at this point. He's losing about a tenth a lap.
I do believe that if a caution does come out, we may see these 4 drivers attempt to try a different strategy. I think at this point in time, they're all sizing each other up, determining who is better. At one point, right in front of Fode, the 6 of Wadsworth slammed right in front of him. That made him probably yeah, a little bit afraid from that point.
Wadsworth in the wall, Norgard in the wall, both coming off of turn 4 that time. That means this car is starting to go away on that handling. That right front tire starting to lose grip on corner exit. You're turning the wheel to the right or to the left. That car is not responding. That thing is headed straight for the wall, and it's going to start impacting it. And that's where we might see a caution flag at some point if these guys are unable to, keep that under wraps. We've got, 15, 20, 30 laps until pit stops coming up here, and their cars are just going to get tighter and tighter, especially because some of these guys have run the top the entire race.
Oh, here we go. This is exactly what we expected to see. You have the Pro Edge driver trying to pass the Lake Norman driver here, and
Do good.
You're correct. He's not Pro Edge anymore. He's do good.
But
you do see a Lake Norman driver out of the championship trying to hold back one of the Championship 4 because that purple car right behind is another Lake Norman driver, and maybe trying to let his teammate gain up a little bit more on this battle. And right now it seems to be working because tenths of a second are coming down between Ethan Burrell and Tyler Fode.
Yeah, and Ethan Stanley's not doing anything wrong right here, right? He's racing for second spot. It doesn't really matter who that is. Ethan Stanley needs to, try to protect that position. He's been a guy who hasn't really won this season. It's been a bit of a struggle for Ethan Stanley. He would like to get out there into victory lane. Not to mention he's gaining on race leader Scott Crump. So Ethan Stanley's got his sights set forward. The fact that Ethan Burrell's a little bit faster and this track is difficult to make passes on the bottom end is kind of irrelevant at this point. But Stanley knows he's got to hold Ethan Burrell back if he wants to be the one to go up and take the lead. So might as well do it. If that helps your teammate in the process, cool.
That last turn was very interesting. Ethan Burrell was making a lot of headway on that high side. Well, guess who decided to jump up in that turn that was working out so well? That was Ethan Stanley deciding to take that high line away from Ethan Burrell. Ethan Burrell may be looking to try to get to the outside now of Ethan Stanley. Not going to be able to get there. Are they going to go both up to the high side? They are both right up against the wall, trying to give no room to each other.
They're clicking 2 to 3 tenths off Scott Crump per lap here at this point. So both of these guys are starting to reel in Crump, and that tells me this is a kind of a de facto battle for the lead here in a couple of laps. Crump's car has started to go away, similar to how Frankenfield's, Wadsworth's, and Hibbs's have, and so the tires seem to be going bad on that 90 car. He's going to be, I believe, in the clutches of Ethan Stanley here within a lap or two.
Yeah, they have definitely caught up. But you have to remember, they're running very hard on that outside lane. How many more laps can they go on the fuel? Is that going to end up hurting Ethan Burrell in the long run with how hard he's racing these drivers?
I think Ethan Burrell is in his comfort zone right now, right? The tires are old, but Ethan Burrell is clicking off really strong laps, and he doesn't have to pass either of the guys in front of him, right? All Ethan Burrell has to do is ensure that those 3 cars lit up in orange on our pylon stay behind him in this race. You want to be the first of the championship for, during the race. That certainly feels good, but it's also, it's an important factor where if those guys are chasing you all night long, then you're doing something right.
I do think, though, with how strong how strong the competition is, I don't think you can go into this championship without thinking that you have to go in and win this race.
Yep, absolutely. Stanley is there on Scott Crump, but they have kind of backed up. I don't think Stanley has gone after Crump necessarily quickly, and that is allowing Tyler Fode to put in big gains on Ethan Burrell, 10th each of the last 2 laps. From Fode to Burrell, and that's going to tighten this battle for the championship lead up even further, as Matthew Weeks has fallen now 3 seconds back, but he does make the bypass on Chad Frankenfield for that 6th position. So Weeks is the one that's furthest back right now, but maybe he has the freshest tires. Maybe he's saved a little bit more than this front group.
Absolutely. Yeah, Weeks now has the clean air, too. So we're going to see just how fast that clean air is. Now that he's able to get around Chad Frankenfield, he will have a little bit of time to be able to make up on these 4, but will have the advantage. Here comes Ethan Burrell underneath Ethan Stanley, going to try to make another move. Dives it underneath Ethan Stanley, but Ethan Stanley will have that preferred line on the outside.
Ethan's going to get both of them. He didn't. He's going to get in behind Crump. Great pass from Ethan Burrell.
Ethan and Ethan battle. Now Ethan Stanley to the back bumper of Ethan Burrell, giving him a little bit of a shot.
Ooh, Stanley's in the wall.
Ethan Stanley tapping the wall. Here comes Tyler Fode underneath him. That's a battle for 3rd.
Stanley holds Fode off, does not yield and give his teammate the spot. That might have been the time to do it because Ethan Burrell's taking the lead here into turn 3. Crump drops to the bottom. It will allow Ethan Burrell to drive up to the top of the racetrack and get a big run down the hill. And here comes Ethan Burrell for the race lead on Scott Crump. He's got the run on the apron. Give it to Ethan Burrell at the line.
Clears himself at the flag stand there, able to jump up front now. Now has nothing to look for or look back to other than having to focus on trying to get away from them as much as possible. Now it's going to be 2 by 2 behind him, and now that's exactly what Ethan Burrell needs.
Yep, Ethan Burrell wants to see that behind. Battle between teammates, the 92 and 90 right there. Those Lake Norman teammates in front of Tyler Fode. They're not helping him right now. They're side-by-side battles, slowing him up, letting Ethan Burrell get away, and it's let Tate Lytle get underneath that 40 car. Fode's on the radio asking, guys, I need to get by. I'm chasing that guy down that just bypassed you.
So far right now, a playoff driver leading it, and 2 drivers in between the rest of them. Might be a little bit less now. Here comes Fode, going to go to the outside. Scott Crump allows his teammate to be able to have that preferred line on the outside. But look who's trying to sneak his way by as well. That's Tate Lytle trying to take advantage. Oh, he gets crowded and taps the outside wall. That is not what you want. You don't want to be the first one out of the championship 4 to make contact with the wall.
Now, there hadn't been any, I don't want to call it teamwork shenanigans, but the teamwork between those Lake Norman cars hadn't been particularly great until Scott Crump let Tyler Fode go, but that tightened up that 90 car on corner exit something fierce, and he knew it was one of Fode's competitors above him, so he didn't maybe a little more careless when he came to riding up the racetrack a little bit there, and fortunate that didn't take anybody out, but that does allow Fode to gap Scott Crump, Ethan Stanley, and Tate Lytle. And you can see Stanley and Crump fighting with Lytle right now, trying to hold him back a little bit. They know Tate Lytle's very, very quick.
Car in the grass. Car in the grass, getting spun sideways. He's going to come back up the racetrack. That's Ryan Gable.
And that is another one of our...
he's going to spin it.
And it's another one of our Lake Norman cars. They do not need a caution right now.
Oh, maybe they do.
The ones that aren't Tyler Fode might. Fode has cleared and... Oh, Tate Lytle just gave a bump to Scott Crump on the front straightaway, said, get out of my way. And he's going to clear, I think, Scott Crump into turn 1 here. Oh,
no, he's not. He's going to throw it in there, but so does Scott Crump. Going to be side by side coming out of turn 2. Is Tate going to take it? Oh, he squeezes right in front. Now Tate Lytle is going to be on the high side. Scott Crump to the bottom. Scott Crump's going to throw it into turn 3. Is he going to perform the slide job? Oh, no. Not able to.
Not able to. and that will clear Tate Lytle to third. But he had to battle with Scott Crump and got a little bit annoyed with the 90 car there. Gave him a little bit of a front bumper. So, I would say a little bit of emotion involved in this one here. But for now, Tate Lytle has lost about a second, but that's something he can make up. That's not very impactful in the grand scheme of this championship. It is impactful for this next pit stop coming up as to who's going to pit first, and you might see Tate Lytle maybe have to alter his strategy a little bit. Maybe he has to, come in a lap earlier than Tyler Fode and Ethan Burrell, try to undercut them just a little bit and get out in front. I think we've seen that work this year, Gerald.
I was worried about if Ethan Burrell was going to burn up his stuff with how hard he was trying to race against those Lake Norman drivers. Well, here comes one of those Lake Norman drivers. Tyler Fode has now caught to the back of Ethan Burrell. Is only within 0.2 of a second for the lead, as Tyler Fode is now trying to figure out a way around. That's Michael Goodman you're seeing on screen, a lap down vehicle trying to unlap himself. But
yeah, let's go to the front here, Dave.
At the front here, it's now right on the back bumper. Tyler Fode's going to look to the inside. At the line, it's still Ethan Burrell by only 1/100th of a second. But going into turn number 1, Tyler Fode able to clear himself, able to jump up in front of that Ethan Burrell car.
Yeah, we saw Burrell, like you mentioned, Gerald, that he overcooked the tires just a little bit more than Fode did, getting through his teammates, right? And that was an advantage that Fode had because Stanley and Crump were on that Lake Norman team. Fode had a little bit more an easier time. Burrell had to make some difficult moves, and he also probably pushed it to try and drive away from those guys. In doing so, has now lost the race lead to Tyler Fode. But look who's in front. Look who's in front of Fode right here. That is Ethan Burrell's teammate, Michael Goodman.
Teammates doing teammates things, Yep,
there it is. Yep, he gave him a little help. I think he towed Ethan down the front straightaway a little bit there, but
yeah, I don't think Goody's that way though.
Yeah, the help was minimal. It was there, but it was minimal.
Well, I've got one concern, and that's going to be with Matthew Weeks. He is not being able to keep up with those championships before. He is making the passes, but it's not as strong as it probably needs to be.
Matthew Weeks is running the quickest laps of anybody in this Final Four right now. He is running 33.4s. Ethan Burrell's last lap was the 33.6. So was Tyler Fode's. But you see, he's going to have to fight against those Lake Norman teammates that are hanging out behind Tate Lytle right now. And that might prove difficult, but yeah, Weeks got Scott Crump there at turn 3, so move Matthew Weeks on up.
Ups are underway, so you do have to believe there's not that many laps left, and he finds himself over 2.5 seconds back from the championship lead. That's not, even if he's running 0.1 of a second faster, he's not going to have enough time before everyone pits to be able to gain back that time. So if he's going to have to make any corrections, it's going to have to be to how much he's saving in the beginning runs.
Right, and we'll see whether or not, Weeks has to put together some kind of strategy in order to make up that ground, but he is in position number 5 right now. It's just that he is, 2.5 seconds behind these guys at this point, and, he's gaining, but those gains are very incremental. And you wonder, Eli Norgaard's going to get a penalty. He definitely overshot pit road right there.
That's a shame, considering he was running it close or inside the top 10 for a majority of this race. So unfortunately for that driver, he's going to continue that hard lesson of how this rookie season's gone for him.
Yeah, 33.5 from all 4 of our championship 4 last time by. So as we watch those guys come in, we saw that aggressive Hornets nest, and here comes Chad Frankenfield, Scott Crump. We saw that Hornets nest of guys running that top lane early in the run. Everybody's pitting now, and we see our championship 4 staying out. They're going to be able to run this long. Then they will have the freshest tires on the next green flag run, and that's what's going to cycle these 4, I think, up to the front. And that kind of tells you these are the guys that are just the best at doing this stuff. They're the best at saving those tires, running a long green flag run over the course of 50, 60, 70 laps, and they're doing a great job. And that's what's going to take to get these guys a championship and $500 when it all is all said and done.
Now, the question I have is, who's going to be the first one down of the championship 4? Is it going to be our leader who's out front and maybe try to take that advantage away from the other four for being able to have the new tires? Is it going to be an Ethan Burrell who is just lost that lead? Or is it going to be a Tate Lytle who may have burned up his stuff a little bit having to fight with those Lake Norman drivers? Or is it going to be the driver that's all the way in the back there in Weeks and try to see if you can leapfrog them while you can?
Ethan Stanley just drove around Tate Lytle for third place. We were so focused on kind of this battle for the lead where Burrell's stalking Tyler Fode, keeping in his tire tracks. Ethan Stanley has saved the tires well enough to take over that third spot from Tate Lytle. Tate is falling back from these race leaders. He is now 2 seconds behind Tyler Fode, and he's falling into the clutches of Matthew Weeks as we see Brent Jones hit pit road.
And Tyler Fode really only has Tate Lytle somewhat keeping up with him, but not Tate Lytle, but Ethan Burrell. And Ethan Burrell is starting to lose him a
Tate's
little
down
bit.
pit road, so is Matthew Weeks. Weeks was really hard on the binders. Did Weeks speed?
Now, what I would have to
I don't
expect
think
here
so.
is that the other two championship four are probably going to come down this time.
Yeah,
I don't think
they
they're
have
going
to.
to want. I don't think they're going to
They
let
have to.
that advantage go.
They have to. Ethan Burrell's to the bottom of the racetrack. I think Tyler Fode might allow this to happen and go for an extra lap, but I think Burrell is reacting to. Oh no, he was just running the bottom in 3 and 4. Yeah, so the two guys who are, I think, I think if you're these two championship leaders, you let that happen. You try to get as much of an advantage as you can on the two that just pitted, right? They pitted out of some level of desperation to try and close that gap that you have to them, that they had to you. Ethan Burrell and Tyler Fode now need to run as long as they can and try and maximize this second run where they're going to have fresher tires than Ethan Burrell or than Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks the entire run, and they will be faster.
Definitely going to lose with almost 2 seconds advantage having fresh tires to old tires. They're definitely going to lose that lead to those two drivers. The question is are they going to have the speed to be able to get back around them? You would almost believe they would, but that also depends.
They will.
On lap
They definitely
traffic
will.
too.
Yeah, they definitely will have that speed, but it's 3 wide underneath Ethan Burrell right now. Not a good situation.
Almost 4 wide as here comes Corey Abbott.
Michael Hosak, and a shout out to Michael Hosak after last week, right? Guy who was in the top 5 in the final closing laps and got caught up in the mess between Chad Frankenfield and Scott Crump.
Go back there to Tate Lytle, Scott Crump, and Matthew Weeks. They are all right on top of each other.
They are indeed.
Scott Crump finds himself in between the two, and Matthew Weeks lets out another groan. Why, oh why, do I always have to have a car in between me and my championship competitors there? As right now they're all playing a little bit nice. I think they're focusing on trying to run those fast laps right now. I do have to believe Ethan Burrell is going to have to pit here soon. He is starting to lose a lot of time to Tyler Fode.
Yeah, lost 800ths that lap. Ethan Stanley down pit road. They got to be ready to come soon, and that is going to be a big tire advantage. But they will be coming from who did? Ryan Gable.
I think he was already a lap down. So,
he had gone through the grass. Yeah, Nick Massey also got a black flag there. So.
Nick Massey just continuing to have his best season ever. Not really. Yeah. Probably one of the worst seasons.
Here they come. Championship leaders and race leaders down pit road.
Ooh. Man, Tyler Fode got a big advantage, too. It doesn't look like it on screen there, but at their speeds right there, Tyler Fode got a few more car links coming down pit road on Ethan Burrell. So Ethan Burrell not able to capitalize on pit entry as much as Tyler Fode was.
For reference, by the way, Tate Lytle is on the back straightaway with Scott Crump right now. He has gapped Matthew Weeks by over a second. So,
Scott Crump on the back bumper bumps Tate Lytle. Oh, gave him a hefty bump there going into turn number 3. Not
Tyler Fode and Burrell.
Deal.
For reference, Tyler Fode is just now coming off pit road. So you're going to see them flash by the purple and yellow cars coming off pit road right here. That's going to be the gap. And it's going to be a pretty sizable gap. Matthew Weeks is way in front of these guys now. David Tooker's in front of these guys now. This is the battle for the lead that we're watching right here. Well, it's the battle for second because they're about to go around Richie Hearn, who pitted first. He was about 20 laps earlier than these guys. And then Chad Frankenfield's 2 seconds up the road. But he's again, one of the first ones to pit.
So the question is 6 laps a big enough advantage to make up a 5-second deficit?
It is. It definitely is, and we've seen Tyler Fode pull this strategy before.
I
and now
would
we
say
have,
yes, but that also depends on if David Tooker, a pro edge driver, races like Norman does.
Yeah,
and how they do it.
I believe he definitely will. That said, I would want to be the guy on the newer tires. Scott Crump's to the outside of Tate Lytle here.
Not what Tate Lytle wants to deal with right
No.
now.
No,
Not
and
what Tate Lytle, when he's trying to take this advantage all the way to the end and get as much distance as
there's
he
definitely
can.
going to be another pit stop.
Yes, but now he's going to have Scott Crump in front of him dictate the speed of how they're going to be able to progress. And Scott Crump is not going to, as you see, Tate Lytle right to the back bumper. You have to wonder, though, is he going to start to drag the brakes a little bit, try to bring the 40 back? A lot of teammates going on right now.
Tyler Fode is 0.4 of a second a lap quicker than Tate Lytle right now. Tate ran a 32.7 last lap. Fode ran a 32.4, so 3/4 faster per lap. That over the course of the run, it'll equal out at some point. But Fode also not running his qualifying speed. He's about 3, 4, 5/10 back of his qualifying pace. He's saving his tires for the length of this long green flag run here in the second stint. And in doing so, I think he will definitely reel in the 56 and the 11, because you see Chad Frankenfield is gapping these guys right now on the fresh tires. They know Chad will come back to them because Chad's, pushing it really, really hard, of course.
Yeah, but I also have to think no clean air. I mean, there can't be any clean air on the front of that 56. That's not going to help the front tires of the 56 either.
No.
Again, this may not be as big of an advantage if it was just Tate Lytle out there by himself, but with a driver essentially staying right in front of you and not really concerned about your well-being is not helping for Tate Lytle. He's going to be underneath him again. If it comes down to it at the end, we may see some blows come to happen here.
They are definitely fighting aggressively between each other here, the 90 and the 56 this race. They're not making friends. But there's $500 in a championship on the line. There aren't friends needed when it's this serious right here. Matthew Weeks has caught back to the back bumper of Tate Lytle here. And Tyler Fode's kind of losing a little bit of time to these guys, but I think that's a calculated decision to try and use less tire because these guys are already at a disadvantage. Matthew Weeks has maybe decided it's go time. He's up at the top of the racetrack.
We're about to have our 4th different championship. Oh, bam! Right in the back bumper. Right into the back bumper of Scott Crow's Matthew Weeks. Not going to be happy about that.
That was certainly a choice.
Yeah.
He's not clear this time.
No,
Matthew Weeks to the outside.
Side bang. Why is he up there so high?
Well, I think that was a little displeasure from the 11 car there over the block down the back straightaway.
No, that was the 90 coming up.
90's parked it on the bottom this time in front of Tate. Racing hard right here for that 4th spot. It's allowing Tyler Fode to close the gap a little bit. He's got Justin Wadsworth, Richie Hearn, Chris Stouffer, and Jesse Racimus and David Tooker between Tate Lytle and himself right now. Oh, and Nick Massey, who's a lap down though, so Massey maybe not such a difficult battle.
But you also have to remember, why did Scott Crump not make the championship for?
Yeah.
Was it maybe
well,
because
he didn't say it last week at Richmond. That was part of the problem.
But also the previous race, who made contact with Scott Crump at Las Vegas and essentially turn him around in front of the field?
That 11 car did, I believe.
That 11 car.
Yeah. Well, I think we should jump to side-by-side here while they're single file before things start to get even more chaotic and run our ads. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle. Friday, August 16th and Saturday, August 17th. The race everyone talks about. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500, only at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Go to www.traceway.com now, because the first deal is the best deal. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
All right, this is the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. Belly Up Sports, the internet sports bar. Sports commentary via podcast, forums, and articles on topics ranging to nearly every sport. Not your usual sports site. Check them out on X or bellyupsports.com. Premier partners, Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in a pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels. Accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. And Worldwide Technology Raceway, you saw their ad, but Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri. They host the NASCAR Cup Series, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and the NTT IndyCar Series. They have a 2-mile infield road course used for Speed Tour Trans Am, SCCA, and Porsche Club America. A 1/4-mile NHRA-sanctioned drag strip that hosts the Midwest Nationals event, and the Kartplex, a state-of-the-art karting facility. There, we got our sponsors in while we could.
We did it now because the racing is going to only intensify from here. Matthew Weeks and Tate Lytle are starting to catch up to Chad Frankenfield at the front of the field and putting some distance on Scott Crump to their benefit. And behind them is, of course, Tyler Fody and Ethan Burrell with 6 laps fresher tires, trying to make up the advantage on those two as well. Again, all of that revolves around if we go green like we have this entire race. 81 laps down in this event. We are already coming up on the halfway point. All 4 of our championship 4 have led the championship 4. At least at one point in time of the race. So right now, it is still undecided who has the advantage at this point.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that you want those fresh tires. Tyler Fody and Ethan Burrell are still clicking off lap times 2 to 3 tenths faster than Matthew Weeks and Tate Lytle. But Weeks and Lytle have been saving. They've been running the bottom. They're not catching Chad Frankenfield very clearly. Maybe Tate's decided it's time to go here. Who knows? But they're going to cut this. This run cannot go as long as the last run did. Matthew Weeks is blinking.
Well, now we're going to have a battle for the.
He's still blinking really bad.
Position. Yeah, real bad. He's out right now.
Yeah,
he's back.
Weeks is back. Oh boy, that is not good. And Weeks now yielding that second spot to Tate Lytle, and you can see him now. The purple and yellow car. That's Tyler Fody and Ethan Burrell. They have rocketed their way up close to this group. I really like the strategy of staying out and getting those fresh tires for this longer run. I just think that's going to be the way, because you're going to be able to take this second stint, divide it in half. It'll be less than the 69 laps that Ethan Burrell and Tyler Fody ran in that first stint. They'll be able to go a little bit quicker through this rest of this second stint and then through the end of the race here. But battle is on for that 4th spot. David Tooker, Scott Crump, they're side by side and battling hard.
I have a prediction as to what's going to happen here. I think Tyler Fody's going to rock it around on the high side, and Scott Crump is going to try to hold David Tooker. Oh, I say that. David Tooker probably had the same premonition, and now he's going to shoot himself behind Scott Crump to make sure Tyler Fody doesn't have that advantage.
Fody's not clear. Tooker blocking.
Oh, he's going to put a block on him. I had a hunch that was going to happen here.
And we've seen some blocks from both those guys. I'd say it's probably even now between the old Pro Edge and Lake Norman groups. Got a side block, but here comes Tyler Fody to the bottom. He gets around Tooker. I think he'll clear Scott Crump here in this first corner. Tooker trying to stay with that 40 car. That tire advantage just too great from Tyler Fody.
Oh, David Tooker able to clear himself from Scott Crump. Now going to get to the back bumper. Is he going to try to shoot underneath him?
Well,
He is going to try to. I don't think he's going to be able to clear himself. Tyler Fode's got way too much momentum on that high side.
we lost Gavin Hibbs. I'm wondering if he got into the wall. But yes, the battle here is obviously up front.
Here comes Tyler Fode now to the inside of the 11 there. So frustration's well known with how teammates have been playing here. Matthew Weeks going to try to hold him.
He
Not
cleared him.
able to. Tyler Fode able to get up into that third position now.
The tire advantage just too great for Tyler Fode. He's around Matthew Weeks. Tate Lytle now up to the top of the racetrack to try to block off that 40 car. And Ethan Burrell's trying to follow in Tyler Fode's footsteps. He's to the inside of David Tooker now. Tooker and Burrell obviously have a good relationship, so Tooker pulls back, letting that 37 car go hunt for the race lead. But Tyler Fode out here taking names, jumping to the front, but he's now stuck in behind Tate Lytle. That dirty air washed over the nose of that 40 car, but here comes Ethan Burrell on the outside of Matthew Weeks.
Ethan Burrell not trying to make any enemies here, just trying to take the advantage where he can, but now diving to the bottom. This is for the lead of the championship. It's going to be Tyler Fode underneath Tate Lytle coming out of turn 4. They're going to almost door bang. Here comes Ethan Burrell. It's going to be a three-way battle. Three wide going into turn number 1. Ethan Burrell shoots down. Tyler Fode slides up.
Fode's ahead of Lytle.
Just barely able to clear himself.
Whoa. What work by Tyler Fode to get through this field, and Ethan Burrell now jumps in front of Tate Lytle. So the two cars with the freshest tires took them 20 laps to make up the deficit of the short pitting, and now they're going to have fresher tires for the remainder of this run. I'm just going to keep on saying it, man. You wanted to be the last car to pit, I think, in this race. That is so crucial. I mean, Fode and Burrell are probably just going to wait for the 56 and the 11 to pit, come that next lap, and they'll be good to go.
Yeah, right now, Ethan Burrell going to try to see if he can be able to get underneath Tyler Fode here. Try to see if he can dictate the speed. Tyler Fode leading it. Here comes Ethan Burrell. The battle for the top spot and the points is not over and decided just yet. Here comes Ethan Burrell out of turn 4. They're going to be side by side. Tyler Fode's going to have the momentum on the high side.
Ethan Burrell working that bottom lane, but if I'm Ethan Burrell, right, I'm going to just try to follow the tire tracks of that 40 car and try and pull away right here. You know, you can make this a 2-car race pretty easily if you guys just turn up the wick and pull away from the 56 and the 11. So, you know, if you fight amongst yourselves, you're going to burn off both cars. I don't know. Ethan probably wants to lead. He probably wants to be the car out in front dictating that pace, but again, you know, it's one of those things where, oh, man,
right on the back bumper of Tyler Fode. Probably not adding to the handling of that car right now, as we do have a battle right behind them of David Tooker and the 92 of Ethan Stanley. But as they're trying to figure it out, here comes Ethan Burrell again.
Stanley, remember, is on the same cycle as Fode and Burrell. He's got about 5 laps fresher tires than do any of these 3 guys that he's racing around, and he's trying to get up here and give Tyler Fode a little bit of a buffer to those 2 Pro Edge Toyotas that are going to be battling with him for this championship.
You have to wonder, is Ethan Burrell using his stuff up again, trying really hard to make that bottom lane work rather than just staying in behind Tyler Fode and keeping him within shot? Tyler Fode definitely has run a smoother race on that high side than Ethan Burrell is trying to run that bottom.
Yeah, Ethan is, but I also think there's a possibility Ethan's just trying to get clean air on the nose of the 37 car. Tate Lytle's doing a really, really good job of holding serve here, right? Because now Tate Lytle is in damage control mode, right? He's already got a disadvantage on the tires. He's tried to save his tire as much as he could, but he's watched these guys drive on by. They're a couple of tenths up the road. He has been able to reel them back in. He's been able to be smooth with it, and he's right in the thick of this championship hunt. As long as Tate Lytle can get to this finals pit stop within striking distance, it's still at least a 3-car race. It's starting to look kind of grim for Matthew Weeks, though, because he was that first car to pit. He's kind of seemed to burn off the tires on that 11 car, and he's starting to fall back.
He does have his helpfulness of his teammate of the 19 right behind him, trying to keep back the flood of newer tires. They are starting to catch on this lead of Chad Frankenfield. We knew it was going to come down Eventually, Chad Frankenfield on much older tires, taking that advantage of having the new tires to jump out front. But I think his time in the sun is just about over, as here comes the championship 4. We say that, but it's Chad Frankenfield, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have an easy time getting by him.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Let's see what Fody can do right here going into turn 1. I think Fody's approach is going to go high, but Ethan Burrell's got some other plans. He's going to try to side draft, drag that 40 car back, and Fody's now trapped in behind Frankenfield. That might be to the open door Burrell needs. No, Fody able to cut him off and drop to the bottom to go around the slower 15. Ooh, Burrell sideways. Here comes Tate Lytle.
You also have to remember what Chad Frankenfield's hashtag was coming into this race. Hashtag anybody but Fody. So, needless to say, he tried to make sure that he gave Ethan Burrell a helpful lane, but Tyler Fody able to find his way by. Now it's going to be these other drivers trying to make quick work of Chad Frankenfield, not letting that 40 get away. Oh, almost into the back bumper.
They did get into the back bumper of the 15, and that actually, I think, puts Tate Lytle in a pretty difficult spot. Chad does not let the 56 by, and Tate's going to have to fire it in here. They're making contact.
Oh, that was almost really bad.
That could have been the end of Matthew Weeks' race, is what that could have been.
It could have been the end for a few of them.
Yeah, Frankenfield wads it up, but Lytle able to clear by Frankenfield, but that tire gap didn't allow Tate Lytle to get through Chad Frankenfield quite as easily. Matthew Weeks experiencing a similar issue right here. Ethan Stanley is by Matthew Weeks and Chad Frankenfield. Stanley on the bottom of the racetrack flew by both.
It is incredible racing right now. Ethan Stanley, though, I think he still has a shot at trying to get this victory. To heck with these guys racing for a championship. He wants to go for a third win this week. He won in the opening round of the SRX series last night, and now also a champion and a winner in the Xfinity series on Monday night. Now trying to see if he can three-peat it in a row and win tonight's race as well.
And Stanley's very much in the mix for this race win. That 92 car is on the same strategy as the 40 and the 37, and he has had good speed all race long. Remember, we had our championship qualifiers 1 through 5. Well, Stanley was that other car in there in, I think, P3 in qualifying. So the first 5 in qualifying are running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now as well. So looked like qualifying pretty indicative of who is going to be fast in this race.
Right on the back bumper, Ethan Burrell goes. One mistake and it's all over for both of these drivers. Right now, they're not showing any mistakes. They're racing at top level, and that's why they're leading the field here. 3 of our top 4 championship contenders running 1, 2, 3. But here comes Ethan Stanley on that bottom lane with probably the most healthy tires out of the 4, not really having to battle with too many. He doesn't have any championship contenders that he's worried about. He's just going to try to see if he can get around all 4 of them.
Yeah, Stanley's definitely going to take it to Tate Lytle right here. That's the thing to do as a teammate. That's the thing to do as a competitor, because Tate Lytle's a guy you want to get on the back foot if you can. Here comes Ethan Burrell for the race lead, though, on Tyler Fody.
At this point in the race, you have to wonder if these drivers look down, they see they've reached lap 100 and are just taking a breath, realizing they still have 67 laps to battle it out. This is gladiator style. Only one of them's going to come home victorious. The others will be bloody and bruised. Right now, it's Tyler Fody out front, Ethan Burrell trying his hardest to get past him, and Tate Lytle is just trying to keep them within shouting distance in case if a caution comes out or if he can be able to get some kind of strategy to even himself out with them.
Tate Lytle, I want to reiterate that he has done a really impressive job of holding up the tire deficit. We see how far back Matthew Weeks is. He's now a second behind Tyler Fody. That gap is continuing to grow. Tate Lytle being able to hold on with guys with 6-lap, 5-lap fresher tires than he has, that's a big deal, I believe. Here comes Ethan Burrell to the bottom of Tyler Fody once again. Unable to make that move happen. He falls back in line once again.
Incredible racing from all of these championship 4, as well as all the drivers on track. A green flag race this entire run, 100 laps. These drivers have no brakes. There's no pause button. There's no time to get up and rest. Your mind will be worn out by the end of this, and I'm sure they're giving it our all, running right now all up inches from the wall.
Ethan Stanley's alongside Tate Lytle. He's got the front fender ahead, but Lytle on the outside able to hold it back. The problem is now as that 56 and 92 start to race side by side, it might open up the door for Tyler Fode and Ethan Burrell to get away and gap this 56 car. They've been unable to do so. David Tooker just went around Matthew Weeks back there for 5th. The 11 car is struggling mightily, but the one who's not struggling, this 56 and Tate Lytle on those older tires, he's been able to keep up with Tyler Fode and Ethan Burrell.
This championship run these drivers are on started all the way back in January, the middle of January at Daytona. 18 races it took to get to this point. We've narrowed it down to 4 drivers. These 4 drivers are racing right now, all within the top 6, trying to see if they can be the one on top. Right now, leading it out front is Tyler Fode, last year's champion, the most recent champion in the Cup Series. Behind him, Ethan Burrell, a champion owner and a champion in other series, not a champion in the Cup Series, the only one not a champion in the Cup Series. Right behind Ethan Burrell is Tate Lytle, the most winning champion out of all of the champions we have, a 3-time champion, in fact, trying to make it 4 here tonight. And back there in 6th place, Matthew Weeks won a championship. Well, that's Ethan Stanley there. Matthew Weeks, our regular season champion. He won the regular season title back in, I believe that was in April. He won that regular season. Also a champion winner in this series a few years back. Trying to see if he can be able to complete the amazing run he's had this season. Battle for 3rd, though. Ethan Stanley right on the back bumper, dives underneath Tate Lytle. Ethan Stanley still trying to make that pass as both of these drivers are racing hard behind our leader.
Ethan Stanley's been significantly more respectful, I would say, of the championship 4 than Scott Crump was earlier in those battles, and maybe David Tooker as well. But Stanley definitely hounding Tate Lytle in the sense that he knows he's a little bit faster, but he's just struggling to get on by this 56 car here. And Nick Massey pulling over, sign of respect there from the 48 as these front 4 drivers battling for this race win fly on by. Tate Lytle's trying to hold on to the back bumper of these 2, but every time that 92 car gets close to the left rear corner, if he were to run it a little bit closer, he would pull on the side draft of this 56 car, slow it down a little bit. That would really hamper the speed of Tate Lytle on these straightaways and allow those front 2 to get away. Stanley has not gone all the way to the back bumper of that 56. He's simply just trying to run that bottom lane, slide job in front of the 56 and get that spot. And instead of holding up, fighting with slowing down Tate Lytle, he's simply being a nuisance and trying to find a way by if he can. But Tate has not made very many mistakes on this run.
Oh, right down in front of Ethan Burrell. Tyler Fode went blocking off that inside lane, still trying to figure out a way the 37 is. They are starting to get closer and closer to that next pit cycle to where they can come down. They should be able to make it from
Stanley by Tate Lytle. Here
Finally.
comes Burrell.
Yeah. Ethan Burrell now underneath. This is the closest he's been to it.
This is not good for Ethan Burrell. If the 92 is able to get alongside Ethan Burrell up on the outside, Burrell's going to be able to get back in there, but that was a very risky pass attempt by Ethan Burrell. Tyler Fode doing everything right at this point, but again, there's another pit stop coming, right? These guys, Ethan Burrell does not have to make this pass on this green flag cycle. What Ethan Burrell needs to do is keep Tyler Fode right where he is right now, stay on his back bumper, and figure out that strategy with his team that he needs to make in order to win this championship.
Yeah, right now it looks like there are drivers coming down pit road getting tires as we speak. We just saw Personette coming down. Hearn's coming down.
There's the battle for second here between Stanley and Burrell. Stanley might clear Burrell here.
He is. He is going to be able to clear him. As he turned away for 1 second, now Ethan Stanley able to get in front. This is the most amount of space Tyler Fode has had from his championship 4 contenders.
That is massive.
Now the question is Ethan Stanley going to continue his run up to the front of the field, or is he going to try to play a little bit of blocking maneuver?
Does not appear that he is interested at all in blocking for teammates. He's firing it at the lead, drops to the bottom of the racetrack on that number 40 car. But here comes Ethan Burrell up to the top side on Ethan Stanley, so Burrell fighting back in the battle of the Ethans.
all while pit stops are underway. They are catching up on some lap traffic. Just to add to the intensity of this battle, they're also going to have to try to figure around being able to get past some of these lap cars.
Lytle just about lost it coming off a 2. He lost several tenths of a second there on the back straightaway. Very lucky he had a teammate behind him, and David Tooker. Tooker checked up, let him get it gathered up.
Oh, Tate Lytle. Oh, Tate Lytle struggling.
He is struggling bad.
Wall again. He's going to have to come down soon if he's going to have a chance.
And that will open up the door for Burrell and Fody to overcut him once again and drive up to him. It's really the pitting earlier by Lytle and Weeks has put them on the back foot to Fody and Burrell. You see the gap. You see them struggling. They're trying to keep up so that Fody and Burrell do not get that overcut once again, where this final run is just them running down Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks.
I think it was a period of multitude of things there, as you see now. Tate Lytle's backup, his teammate there, David Tooker, I think has decided that he can no longer stick behind Tate Lytle. They're starting to lose too much time. It's going to be able to make the pass on him. That will put David Tooker up into that 4th position. We do have to believe that drivers like Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks are probably going to have to pit here shortly, and hope, above all hopes, that a caution comes out in the right point in time for them.
Ethan Stanley into the wall.
Stanley tapped the wall.
Yeah, it might be time for the 92 to hit pit road now. As well, Matthew Weeks underneath Tate Lytle. That is for that 5th position and 3rd in that championship battle. Weeks backed off. He's able to save the tire enough to not have this massive fall off. We're seeing from Tate Lytle, but there goes Weeks.
No,
sideways on the back straightaway.
Oh, that was... He drove a boat there for a little bit, to be honest with you. There is not much feeling in that steering wheel as it tank slapped back and forth on him. Able to keep it going. Tate Lytle in the wall. Both of these drivers giving it all they can, but the car will not give anymore.
They lost 2.5, 3 tenths of a second that lap to Tyler Fody and Ethan Burrell up front. These two Toyotas are struggling on the old tires. Man, it's going to be close whether or not it got to be pitting here soon. I think Tate Lytle committed to the bottom. He may be coming in this time.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Tate Lytle is slowing down. He is going to come down this time, it looks like, as he should. This is his only option to be able to try to make this happen. He's going to need a caution, though, at the perfect time. Not yet, not too soon, and not too late for Tate Lytle. Is he going to need luck to go his way?
Tate's a 3-time champion. He knows what it takes to win in this format. He's done it before. This is just, he's been on the back foot since that very first pit stop, and it's going to be, he held strong for a long time. It was really admirable. It's really clear that he kind of drove the tires off it trying to hold state serve with Fody and Burrell, and now all Fody and Burrell have to do is wait for that 11 car to pit, come down, 2 laps later, and they're golden.
You do have to wonder if they're going to start sizing each other up, thinking it might be a 2-car battle at this point.
Yeah.
And start to try to figure out if either one of them can stay out longer than each other. Because I don't think they, at this point, unless a caution comes out, have too much belief in the other two being a championship contender against them. So this might come down to a 2-race horse unless of a caution or some kind of happening on racetrack changes things.
Yep, and Ethan Burrell's got to be considering, he talked about what he could do. We've seen Ethan Burrell make some interesting pit calls. He's pitted first, held him off, right? I don't think that'll be really an option here at Kansas. Does Ethan Burrell consider 2 tires, right? Is that something he's willing to go for, given that he said, I don't want to make any second guesses. I want to go out there and win this race, with my ability to, and he's watching Tyler Fody drive away right now. Fody's about a 1/10 of a second faster per lap late in this run. Burrell's got to consider what he can do to close that gap at this point.
Well, if you remember, how did Ethan Burrell win Las Vegas to lock himself into the championship for? We thought he was a done and gone in that race. He pitted before the leader did in that one, but he somehow, in some way, able to save his tires in that race and make it last longer. So it may not actually come down to who pits last. It just depends on circumstances. Right now, though, Fody is starting to pull away quite a bit from Ethan Burrell. This is the biggest gap that we've seen one of our championship 4 have. And now it's up to a second difference between Tyler Fode and Ethan Burrell.
Fode has just got another gear on this run. This is reminding me of Charlotte in our Coca-Cola 600, where, I mean, Tyler Fode just put a spanking on the field. He was up to like 10 seconds by the end of that race. There's not that much time left. Ethan Burrell's certainly been a worthy adversary in this one, but Fode, late in this run, has just put it on rails, and he has been able to open it up to about a second over Ethan Burrell, and that was a gap that was, 1 second, 1 car length, if that, for the entire run up until the last 10 laps or so.
Tyler Fode out front in this event. Again, found himself in this predicament last season and found himself being the champion. This time around, you would have to say came in not the heavy favorite. In fact, it was about a 4-way tie for a heavy favorite between the 4 competitors. Probably going to be a much higher caliber of competition for this championship, but has produced and delivered here tonight with his ability on this long run and the ability to be able to find a way through traffic. Ethan Stanley now coming down pit road. We saw he pitted a lap before the other 2 leaders. Does that lead us to believe that the leaders are going to be pitting soon?
Yeah, I think they will be coming soon, but I also think the leaders are playing a game of chicken with each other, right? Matthew Weeks is hoping that those guys keep on going. He comes in later than they do and actually is able to make up some of that 3-second
Here
gap.
comes Tyler Fode. He's going to come down.
Fode's first down.
And Ethan Burrell.
And Matthew Weeks to the race lead.
Oh, Ethan Burrell. Oh, he did it. He stopped just enough, I think. He made up some time there, too.
No black flag for Ethan Burrell. He did make up some of that time, but now Matthew Weeks in a hornet's nest.
Not in a good spot.
I believe that Matthew Weeks, I think Tyler Fode and Ethan Burrell saw this group coming. They knew they were about to get swarmed by some guys on fresh tires. They did not want to have to give up time in traffic. Scott Crump down pit road, but yeah, it's Matthew Weeks is the last one out here now.
Gotta come down pit road. He can't stay out there. He already was slower than them. He cannot risk having it any slower.
Tyler Fode off before Burrell. They both took 4 fresh tires as expected. Wasn't sure if maybe one of them would try something different, but they did not, and Burrell is close to Tyler Fode. He made up a lot of time on pit road.
Yeah, pit entry and pit exit is where Ethan Burrell able to make up that time. That second difference is gone. Ethan Burrell and Tyler Fode, they're on the same tires. It's game on between those two if it goes green. It's going to be a difference between how they're able to get through traffic. Ethan Stanley was able to get in front of them, so they still have a lot of cars to get by. Yeah, Matthew Weeks down. I do wonder, though. He's going to have a couple fresher tires, but he's going to be very, very far behind the championship 4.
I agree. I will say this. There's only about 30-ish, 40-ish, 40 laps left in this race, 40 laps left in this race. I believe there'll be 40 qualifying laps from that 11 car. He's going to be running it as hard as he can. He's got the freshest tires in the field. He must use them, and he must use them now. Here's a battle for that de facto lead. Tyler Fode and Ethan Stanley. Back here, I can't even tell where they are in the field. Is 6th spot.
Once again, Ethan Burrell able to look to the inside, but not able to make the pass, but has a good run coming out of turn number 2.
Not going to be enough.
Not going to be enough. Tyler Fode's still going to have that advantage on the outside. Without traffic being in the way, it's going to have to rely on Tyler Fode making a mistake at some point.
And we'll see where here as they cycle out. Tate Lytle is 6 seconds up the road, it looks like. He's down in turn 1 right now. Is that 56 car. So I'm anticipating that, those tires fall off a lot earlier than the 40 and the 37, who are still side by side for this championship.
Still battling it out for that 4th position. It looks like Tate Lytle should be catching up to Chad Frankenfield here shortly to be able to make that pass for the lead. Tyler Fode had a little bit weird exit there. That's going to allow Ethan Burrell to have an advantage. He might get him going into the turn here. He's going to throw it in there. He's got to clear him.
Oh, he's not going to do it, Fode.
You got to slide up. You can't let them make that position. He is going to slide right in front of him. Tyler Fode had a weird exit coming out of turn 4, a lot lower exit than what he had normally done, and that allowed Ethan Burrell to have that momentum and that speed to be able to make that pass on Tyler Fode. Now the question is Tyler Fode going to hold back and try to play tire strategy on Ethan Burrell. And is Ethan Burrell going to try to see if now he can track down Tate Lytle and try to put the distance on Tyler Fode? He still has to find a way around another Lake Norman cars. I think those other Championship 4 have to wonder, is there 20 Lake Norman cars out there? Because it definitely feels like there's more than 3.
Tate Lytle to the race lead, but yeah, no, it definitely does. But Ethan Stanley's been one of the front runners in this race. He's certainly found himself among this top 3 and in a spot where he's running for the race win, and he hasn't won a race yet this season. So Stanley's running for the race win. He hasn't been, I don't believe, a nuisance to these drivers around. He's been a competitor. He's trying to go out here and win. Caution's out.
Caution
no
out.
way.
This changes everything in the race at this point. Ty McIntosh around.
So, voting Matthew Weeks now becomes an interesting candidate for.
No, I think they're all taking tires.
Really?
Yeah.
I was thinking these guys might want to stay out.
Laps, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, they do have the tires to go take, but let's see. Ties.
That was right in front of our championship leader there.
Wow. And it almost looked like when Chad went to the inside, it bounced Ty off the wall a little more. I wonder if there was a little net code there. It looked like he saw he was in the wall in front of the leader, just tried to keep it up there.
130 laps before our first caution. We
This
are
race
going to see some pit stops here, though.
This race might go to hell.
Yeah, or a handbasket.
It didn't look like there was contact. The fender
didn't
didn't
look
crinkle
like
on the 15 car, but Ty's car reacted as if there was contact there.
They're
right
going down now. Tate Lytle is going to be leading them. He was luckily able to get in front of Chad Frankenfield. You were wondering about Matthew Weeks? Matthew Weeks stayed out on track.
Yep, he had the freshest tires of anybody. So Matthew Weeks will pull a separate strategy, and I wonder if the 37 and the 40 are considering 2 right-side tires here.
Hey, we've been talking about tire saving. We're not going to be talking about tire saving from here on out.
No. There will be
out
no
of the
tire
window.
saving.
It's all 100% qualifying laps and drivers doing everything they can to get every little bit of speed out of this car. They're going to see if these pit crew are able to get them out
Stanley
pit
with
road.
2. Yep, and Fode and Burrell also take 2. They all jump Tate.
So Tate
2
Lytle's
tires.
going to have the freshest 4 set of tires.
I
Very
think-
interesting.
I think you're not wearing your left side tires here. This is a right side tire heavy track, right? If you're loose, you're wearing that right rear tire. You're tight, you're wearing the right front tire. The left side tires are probably 90% after the 60 lap run. You're not worried about those left side tires. So, they're going to be 98%, 97% on the wear. They'll be fine. I think they'll function like 4 fresh tires.
Now, I know you've watched a lot of these, been a part of some of these, and watched, been part of Elite. This Championship 4 race, this entire race up to this point. I've even raced in a few of these. I don't think I've seen where all Championship 4 contenders are this strong and this close together. And to have this be the very first race, very first championship race for Belly Up Sports Cup Series, Belly Up is getting their money's worth, to say the least. This is incredible. There is not one person that can say without a doubt that they know who's going to win this championship, because it is any one of those 4 drivers. Ethan Stanley is still up there saying, don't forget about me. I want this win. So there is still a lot going on. Oh, and don't forget about Chad Frankenfield. His strategy on tires worked out just fine for him. His aggressiveness is able to get him up into 6th. You're about to see some more aggressiveness out of that 15 car. Let's go ahead and go through the rest of the top 10 because they're impressive themselves. Justin Wadsworth, our rookie champion, running in that 7th position, able to get himself into new tires and have a shot at trying to go for a win here. Right behind him, Scott Crump. He's not done. I know they think that he's the bane of their existence. He's about to show them that he's not done with their nightmare. He's going to try to make his way up through the field. Behind Scott Crump, David Tooker, trying to see if he can be able to go up there and maybe help his teammates out for Pro Edge. Behind David Tooker, Stouffer, definitely far and above the best race that we've had Stouffer. He's joined halfway through the season. It's been abysmal for him. This is exactly the best way to turn it around at the end of the season. And then right there, our Truck Series champion, Jesse Racines, been quiet. Let's see if he can be able to find himself into the top 10. Joshua Clark, another Pro Edge driver back there. Got a clean car, had the most incident points going into tonight's race. Going to try to see if he can correct some of that. Trey Holmes, Field Up Racing, running there in 13th. Justin Vandermeerl running back there in 15th. Well, that's the top 15. These drivers are going to start lining up side by side. We're going to go back green flag. If you haven't taken a breath, well, take the last few you can, because you're about to be breathless at the end of this, because we're going to see who's now the fastest. Oh, I am. I'm just excited.
And under caution here, Matthew Weeks was continuing to blink, by the way. He was still having those connection issues we've seen from him a number of times tonight. So hopefully that doesn't rear its ugly head here as these guys fight it for the championship.
I'm sure he's blinking right now on the car, but as the driver, I don't think he's going to be blinking much more. He's leading it with the oldest tires in the field, and he's going to have a lot of hungry guys right behind him. He's going to have to nail this restart and get up to that high side. The pace car is down. They're going to be going back to the restart line. Leading the field, Matthew Weeks, able to get onto the loud pedal and be able to now clear himself of Ethan Stanley.
Big restart for Matthew Weeks. Now Ethan Burrell side by side with Stanley. Chad Frankenfield looking middle, and Scott Crump got into Chad.
Oh boy.
They almost wadded him up behind our championship floor, but Tyler Fode clears. Tate Lytle on the outside. Christopher in the wall.
Just after I said something nice.
I know that it's okay, no caution yet. Crump in the wall now on the outside. Everybody's still keeping it straight. 3 wide, multiple grooves here all around the championship floor. Frankenfield to the outside of Lytle. He will clear Tate Lytle. Tate's falling back.
Tate Lytle is not in the best positions right now. He's stuck in the middle. He's going to try to see if he can shoot down to the bottom, see if he can be able to get around some of them. Chad just tapped the wall. That might be just what Tate Lytle needed. He's going to jump up right in front of him. He's going to get a shove.
Tucker and Wadsworth. They saved it.
Somehow, some way. There's a lot of beating and banging. They don't need these door panels after they're in this race, and you can tell. Oh, God, Trump got slammed into the wall by David Tooker.
Keep your camera right here.
They're going to be beating and banging going in.
Scott gave Tooker a little door slam. He's going to slide up in front of the 19 into the 90. They make it out.
He gave it back to him there. 3 wide and still door slamming there.
Battle is up here at the front of the field for the lead. And also Chad Frankenfield going after Tate Lytle, but Ethan Stanley and Ethan Burrell have reeled Matthew Weeks and those older tires in. That 11 car now at risk of losing the race lead.
Chad Frankenfield backs off a little bit now. Our championship 4 are all in the top 5. Ethan Stanley still trying to figure out a way around Matthew Weeks. I think Matthew Weeks realized his weakness was passing. Well, how do you correct that? You get out in front of them all and keep them behind you. That's what we're trying to see what that 11 car can do out in the front of the field right now.
And remember, this is exactly what Matthew Weeks did last week to win the race, man. He found a way to get the race lead, and once he got it, he never let go of it. Now Tyler Fode is in the clutches of Tate Lytle back here in 4th place on those 2 right side tires. Tate's got 4 tires. Is Fode lacking for a little bit of that grip that he had in that 40 car before? I don't believe so. I believe Fode's probably saving. This is still a 20-30 lap run to the finish, but you can't drop behind all 4 of your championship contenders. It'll be very difficult to get back to the race lead. Here comes Ethan Stanley.
Ethan Stanley drops down to the bottom. Ethan Burrell behind him is going to try to see if he can sneak by on that outside. At the line, who's going to be the one leading it? It's going to be close. It is going to be Matthew Weeks by 9 thousandths of a second. And these drivers just realized they have 27 laps to go in this event. It seems like a lot, but it will fly by. Their hands are sweaty, and their ankles and knees are probably aching at this point. Caution is out. Around backwards. It is the 26 of Justin Fortner facing in the wrong direction.
Fortner in the wall. And Matthew Weeks had the lead.
Do they take tires?
Oh my goodness, Matthew Weeks is in a terrible spot for that. I think you got to keep your track position. I just don't. It can't be. It can't be worth it to go back into the Hornets'
We
nest.
saw what new tires did with 6 laps difference.
Yeah,
man, the 25 just got loose and realized that was closing up and got on the binders, I think, and it hooked him sideways right into the 26.
It did. That's a tough break for Seth Rawls and Justin Fortner. I want to report on the earlier incident that brought out caution number 1. Ty McIntosh tried to downshift while he was tucked up on the wall, ended up blowing the motor. That's what spun the car out. So 2 Shift Esports EOLs for these first 2 cautions. Not a great night for our guys over there at Shift.
Oh, we do have some pit stops. Look who came down. Tyler Fode.
Wow. And just
no
Fode.
one else.
Just
hardly
Tyler
anyone
Fode.
else. Yeah, hardly anybody else.
This is either a championship winning strategy call or
I
a
don't
championship
think so.
losing strategy call.
I don't think so. We haven't really seen the championship 4 in any aspect of any of them be given a lot of room, especially not
especially
at the end
guy.
of this race.
Yeah. To me, I don't believe this is the move, but if anybody can make it work, if he gets the green flag here, it would be Tyler Fode. Right? This is the guy who can make these passes. He's very aggressive. He's willing to put that car in spots that other guys aren't willing to put their car in. He might cause a wreck coming up through here. He's going to give it his all for sure. He's only going to be 13th, I believe, maybe 11th. Like, he doesn't have that many cars to cut through, and he will have a 7-8 lap tire advantage on them all. It could work. I don't
either
expect
work
it to.
or
It's
it
not
end up in flames.
Yeah. So, and Ethan Burrell obviously making the call that kind of the easy call, I think, to stay out. Again, Burrell said, I don't want to make come out of this race thinking I should have done something differently. Tyler Fode's move right there, that's something that, if we look back on this race, when we finish up these last 25 laps, he might be thinking I could have done something differently.
What a difference 20 laps makes. 20 laps ago, we saw Tyler Fode with a second lead, the biggest lead out of the championship 4, with the newest tires, with an advantage, just coming down pit road, and then the caution comes out, and that changed everything around for him. Now he finds himself back in the 13th position. With the freshest set now, we'll have the advantage in that aspect, but he's going to have less than 25 laps to try to get it done. Somehow be able to survive the carnage that is starting to shape up here. We had 131 laps, green flag, and now we're starting to see some cautions fly. Definitely the aggression has picked up throughout the field.
Yeah, it definitely has. And, Fode's, we're waiting for scoring to update. I guess Rawls will be in front of him. So yeah, Fode will be restarting 13th. He'll be coming through the field with Scott Crump. Might let Crump get in front of him, maybe try to clear the way a little bit.
Yeah, which is not where we've seen the most amount of passes being made.
25 laps
on the bottom.
25 laps is a long time, though. If these guys do keep it green, which I kind of doubt, he will have a significant advantage over those 25 laps. It's just, that's a lot of cars to get through, man.
You are going to see that 40 car put himself in situations that Tyler Fode 100 laps ago would never think of doing. Mm-hmm. Now you're about to see Tyler Fode start to, he's going to be really good at being able to knit things at the end of this, because he's going to put it on a needle thread here the rest of the race. So needless to say, we're about to see how well Tyler Fode is at passing. It looks like Matthew Weeks is going to take the bottom lane there. He's going to have Ethan Stanley to his outside. Now, the big question for Tyler Fode, he really wants that 92 to now find a way around the 11 and somehow slow that progress down and maybe take one more position away that he has to try to take.
Yeah, Ethan Stanley's definitely Fode's best friend up here fighting the good fight against the championship 4. But you also got, his teammate Scott Crump's right above him on this restart on the outside. They might do a little teamwork restart here to try and get Fode up into that top lane where he can make some moves, get some advantage and some momentum up there, and then be able to swing to the bottom and make some passes. So we'll have to keep a camera on this front lead. We're going to keep a camera on that 40 car because he's going to be the show, I think, coming back through.
Only got one camera.
Oh, well, we'll keep a wide shot so you guys can see what's going on.
After 18 races, we're here to figure this out. We're going to be green with 23 laps left to go. These drivers this season have put in over 60 hours of racing to get to this point. Now Matthew Weeks able to clear himself, be able to try to see if he can stay in front of him. Down to the bottom, here comes Ethan Burrell.
Burrell down underneath Ethan Stanley. He will clear himself on that 92 car. 92 back to the bottom. Tyler Fode has already entered he's 11th now. He's going to enter the top 10, I think, by the end of turn 3. Burrell going for the race lead here. He's underneath Matthew Weeks.
Oh, they're getting close. That was almost bad.
Crump's getting wrecked.
Oh, back there. Scott Crump hard into the wall. The 54 and the 33. No caution, though.
How is there not a caution?
They all kept it straight. And
okay.
No caution for that, but hard wreck for all of those drivers. We'll see real quickly before we get back up to the front. I think it was Scott Crump getting loose, and around he went.
Contact there with Brent Jones. Got Norgard, got Canadal involved up front. It is a battle, but for the lead, Ethan Burrell at the line. He will, I believe, get it over Matthew Weeks, but they're still side by side.
Of a second, the distance between those two. Ethan Burrell throws it into the bottom, as well as Matthew Weeks throws it on the outside. He's going to be able to hold him off. Here comes Tate Lytle. Ethan Burrell has a decision to make. Hold that outside. Yes, he does.
To the bottom.
Now Tate Lytle's going to try to see if he can make it work on the bottom lane.
Tyler Fode's mired in 11th. He cannot get by pro edge driver Josh Clark up front. The battle for the lead is fierce. Lytle and Burrell side by side for second. It's Matthew Weeks still leading on the older tires up front.
Here comes a shove by Jesse Racines, giving a little push to Tate Lytle to try to get him around. We have 3 of our Championship 4 racing at the front of the field, all on different tire strategies. Matthew Weeks with the older tires stayed out on the previous caution. Right there in second is Ethan Burrell with 2 tires that he took. And then you have Tate Lytle with 4 tires. And then mired back in traffic in Tyler Fode with the freshest set. All 4 of them on different tire strategies. Ethan Burrell tries to get it on the outside.
I thought Ethan was going to be able to get to the outside of Matthew Weeks. Weeks closed the door on that move. Now Burrell will have to find a way around on the bottom of the racetrack. We've seen Ethan Burrell make that move a couple of times in this race where he was maybe not so clear, but he managed to make it work. Now he's bottled up behind this 11 car. Here comes Tate Lytle to the bottom of the racetrack.
Less than 20 laps to go. It comes down to this. Hundreds of dollars on the line, many of ours, and most of all, the prestige of championships. And right now, Matthew Weeks able to do an amazing job holding them all back on older tires. Ethan Burrell still trying to battle not only the battle in front, but the battle behind as Tate Lytle is trying to get that second position on him.
Mired for you Tyler Fode fans, 9th place, side by side with Vandermarl right now. He's stuck in behind another group of side by side drivers in front of him between Wadsworth and Trey Holmes. Just no progress being made by that 40 car right now. The tires are too close together, I think, for Fode to have a clear advantage. And right now, it's all up front between Matthew Weeks, Ethan Burrell, and Tate Lytle.
I hope you weren't sleepy, because you're not going to be able to close your eyes, because here comes Ethan Burrell trying to see if he can be able to get around Matthew Weeks. Once again, has that high lane, has that straightaway speed, but not able to have the position. Matthew Weeks' favorite friend is going to be that outside wall. He does not want to see a single driver be able to get in between him and that outside wall, as here they come to 16 laps to go.
Yep. Here comes Ethan Burrell on Matthew Weeks. I wanted to note Jesse Racines is up here in 4th, our truck champion. He has done a marvelous job of hanging with these guys, but look who is on the bottom. Ethan Stanley working here against Jesse Racines, and they will now cross over. Tyler Fode's 3 wide back here in the field. He's fighting so hard with Justin Vandermarl.
Field throws it in. He's going to cut. He cut Tyler Fode off. That is about game over for Tyler Fode right there. He did not want to get there. Oh, he beating and banging, door slams. He's sideways.
I don't want to put anything on them, but I think that the Vandermarl and Josh Clark machines got word of the stuff Scott Crump was doing earlier in this race, and they've been giving the business back to this 40 car.
More beating and banging happening behind him. 4 wide, right behind Tyler Fode there, as they are about to wreck coming out of turn number 4. Still making some contact behind Tyler Fode. We may not be done with cautions. We may not be done with tire strategy. But right now, Matthew Weeks is not focused on anything else than what's right behind him. He has been seeing yellow in the mirror for the last 10 laps. He has had nothing behind him but the back
contact.
front bumper.
Contact between Fode and Vandermarl again. That's the 3rd time. They've made
You have to wonder if Tyler Fode is wondering how many enemies he made to this point because they are racing him so hard. He's watching Chad Frankenfield split 3-way Chad in the wall. Hard into the wall, right in front of Tyler Fode. Fode's having to check up not to run into the back of him. That caused a lot of damage for Chad Frankenfield. That almost was a 3-card wreck in front of Tyler Fode. Still loose, still cutting him no breaks is Chad Frankenfield. I think we
lost Dave.
Good.
Dave,
No, I'm back.
He's back.
I'm back. Here comes Fode on Chad.
Oh, he's beating him. Fode wants the position. He wants that outside. Chad Frankenfield is not letting him have it. Vandermeer right in front is not helping the situation. This is the worst case scenario for Tyler Fode. He has to wonder what it could have been if he had just stayed out on older tires and been able to race with those guys and have a chance at it. But right now, Tyler Fode, I think his advantage on tires is just about out.
Tate Lytle's up in front of Ethan Burrell. I'm sure that pass occurred when I kind of froze out there. I'm not sure what happened on my end. Regardless, it's now a battle between those Pro Edge Toyotas for this race win. Tate Lytle going after Matthew Weeks here. Ethan Burrell looking on in third.
Well, we saw Ethan Burrell not able to get around Matthew Weeks. Let's see how Tate Lytle is able to do. Matthew Weeks, in the last few weeks, could probably tell you, he has been blocked. He has been having difficult times being able to make the maneuver on people. Felt like he didn't have any advantage on those guys on that type of strategy while he's trying to be able to put one under on him. But here comes Tate Lytle with a good side draft. Going to throw it in there. He's not going to be able to do it, though, but he's going to be side by side coming out of turn 2.
Oh, and this gives Ethan Burrell a run up top. Yep, Burrell's going to clear back by that 56 car. Matthew Weeks has done everything right here to hold that race lead, but here comes Ethan Stanley to the bottom of the racetrack.
As much as Ethan Stanley probably does not want to be the factor between those, he does want to be able to claim that victory, which is on the line.
Burrell's underneath Matthew Weeks,
3 wide
for the lead.
Oh, I don't even know what to say at this point. This is crazy racing with 10 laps left to go in a championship on the line.
Going to get the lead. Stanley's in the lead.
That is the worst case scenario for Matthew Weeks. He's not going to have the clean air.
Yep, now Tate Lytle underneath Ethan Burrell. That battle is still raging on for third, but Ethan Stanley just power moved and he went by all 3 of our race leaders.
Ethan Stanley now leading this event. I don't think those 3 guys are even worried about the race win. They are still racing between each other. It's the money on the line. It's the glory of the championship. 8 laps left to go, but now in front of Matthew Weeks, taking that clean air and taking that advantage off the front nose of that 11 is the 92. Ethan Burrell's going to have the best chance he has at this point in time. He has to make the move. If he doesn't, Tate Lytle will take that advantage on the outside and be able to get around him. Oh, Tate Lytle almost got into the side of him.
Yep. Ethan Burrell's got to count on Matthew Weeks tightening up here and losing the front nose of that race car.
Look who's coming. It's Tyler Fode. He found a way to get around him finally. A little too late. We'll see. Whereas he is now found himself in the 7th position. He's going to have that tire advantage. But the question is he going to have the time? He wished he'd been able to make those passes a little bit cleaner, but it's not over yet. Tyler Fode's still going to have a shot as to who's going to be the champion.
Yep, Fode's got every opportunity. He's just got to get through Racimus, which shouldn't be too big of a deal, but David Tooker's going to be a whale of a pass for Tyler Fode to make here. That'll be the difficult one, I believe.
I think he's going to throw it in there. I think he's not worried about it. If he wrecks his car, it doesn't matter where he finishes. He'll finish 4th in points. The only thing that matters is getting up to the front.
Yep.
As here they come. It's our last chance to take a breath. It's our last chance to try to clear our stress. We're not going to be able to do that, I think, as here we come to 5 laps to go. As here comes Tyler Fode underneath David Tooker for that 5th position. He's hoping to get around so he can be able to have a shot at this.
Yep, and Ethan Burrell's the only one been able to keep tabs on Matthew Weeks here. So it's been all Matthew Weeks since this caution flag. But Ethan Burrell has stayed within striking distance, and Ethan Stanley took the race lead away from Matthew Weeks.
Into the wall goes Tate Lytle, taps it coming out of turn 4. He's going to lose a lot of time on those two. Now Ethan Burrell can be able to try to be able to work over Matthew Weeks without having to worry about losing second place, as right behind him you see Tyler Fody giving the door to David Tooker there, trying to see if he can be able to maneuver and muscle his way by.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for Tyler Fody because he knows David Tooker's not going to give him any room. And Tyler Fody continues to struggle after giving up that track position. He cannot get back to the front here. 3 laps to go.
3 laps to go. These drivers are still putting as much throttle down as here comes David Tooker. Into the outside wall goes David Tooker. Tyler Fody put him out into the wall to get that position. Now he's going to be able to try to see if he can get around Tate Lytle. I don't think Tyler Fody has any chance to be able to get up there unless if a caution comes out. But here they come back around to 2 laps to go. Our regular season champion running in that second position. Here comes Ethan Burrell racing his first season with Do Good, trying to get his first championship to his name in the Cup Series. As here they go. He's running out of chances to make this move. Is it going to be a throwing? Is he going to try to throw it into the turn to do a slide job? We're yet to find out.
Yeah, what will Ethan Burrell do for that first championship? Here comes Tyler Fody on Tate Lytle. He's going to be a lap too late or so if he can even get around this 56 car. The battle is up front here for second. Ethan Burrell still looking underneath Matthew Weeks.
Ethan Burrell hits the wall hard coming out of turn 4. The white flag is out. That might be it. That might be all Matthew Weeks needs.
And Ethan Burrell close back.
Oh, Tyler Fody threw it in there.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough. Matthew Weeks ran a perfect race. After that caution flag came out, he stayed out on the old tires, and he's going to get through 3 and 4 here. And I think you're going to crown himself a 2-time champion as Matthew Weeks.
Well, he had the strongest season. He won the regular season championship. He able to carry that into the championship 4 and champion once again is going to be Matthew Weeks. He's got 2 1s on the door. He's got 2 1s in the championship column.
Matthew Weeks holds on. Ethan Stanley wins the race, by the way, in that 92 car. He finds a way to get it done with a great power move with about 8 laps to go, and then just held off Matthew Weeks. Weeks wasn't even really running against Ethan Stanley. Don't think that the issue for him was that 92 car. He was focused on holding off that 37, and Ethan Burrell, through the multiple attempts to go after the 11 car, could not get it done, and it was all Matthew Weeks who goes in and takes home this championship here in 2024A. Tyler Fody spun Justin Vandermarl there on pit road entry. I'm sure he's not real thrilled about how he was raced coming through the field, because he ended up in 4th, and I think he would have had a real chance if he doesn't get held up there by the 80 and the 28.
And the 15.
The 15. I mean, the 15 was on his strategy. I think he was racing the 15. Those other guys were doing what Scott Crump was doing early in the race, and I think that's just kind of the birds coming home to roost. There is, when you start playing those kind of games with your teammates, the other teammates will fight back, and that's just kind of how it'll play out.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our finishing order as Matthew Weeks is burning it down here on the front stretch. Ethan Stanley said, heck, I'm going to come out here and win it. You're lucky I'm not the championship 4 driver, as he's won 3 races in a row this week. Yeah. Monday, Tuesday, now Wednesday. Ethan Stanley continues to get the victories. Matthew Weeks, as we just stated, able to get that championship over Ethan Burrell. Tyler Fody finishes 4th. Tate Lytle finishes 5th. David Tooker is going to come home in the 6th position. Really strong run by Jesse Racimas, finishing in the 7th position. Trey Holmes, quiet race up into the top 10, finishes in 7th, or 8th. And then Justin Wadsworth, really good finish, able to come home in 9th place, getting that rookie season champion and another top 10 to his name. Chad Frankenfield finds himself back into the top 10, all the way back there in 10th. Johnny Thomas finishes 11th. Richie Hearn 12th. Justin Vandermeer 13th. Seth Rawls 14th. Justin Fortner 15th. Leighton Norgard 16th. Brent Jones 17th. Joshua Clark 18th.
Yeah. Oh, it's not going forward for me. Hold on. There you go.
Yeah. After we finish up the fun running order, Dave, can we take a look? Maybe when we're interviewing Ethan Burrell, can we take a look at the incident where he bounced it off the fence? I don't know if we actually caught it on the broadcast. It kind of happened off screen.
Real quickly, Joshua Clark, Joshua Personette, Nick Massey, Michael Goodman, Ryan Gable, Corey Abbott, Mark Rubella, Scott Crump, Wyatt Knadel, Chris Stouffer, Ty McIntosh, Michael Hossack, Gavin Hibbs, and Ryan Schold round out the rest of the field here. If you want to, we can bring up. I don't see Tyler Fody. But
Did we bring him up?
Yeah, I don't.
He's down there. He's down there. We'll grab him.
Tyler
Let's talk
Fody?
to him. Oh yeah, I got him. Tyler Fody's in the booth now.
Tyler Fody, not exactly when you came down pit road how you expected it to turn out. I don't think you expected it to be raced that hard. What ended up turning this almost guaranteed victory with maybe about 40 laps left to go into the event to being one of the worst 20 laps of your life there at the end of the race?
Yeah, that was tough. Honestly, I felt like we were on top of the strategy every call, pretty much. I feel like that was the winning call. Had the speed and everything. Just ran into some traffic. The only thing that I regret kind of doing was taking the 2 tires. I was expecting more guys to mix the strategy up, and I definitely didn't expect Weeks to not pit and then go on to win the thing. That was really cool. Good strategy call by him, but I was on the 2 tires there, and Tate was just all over me. And then we got that next yellow like 8 laps later, and I figured, what the heck, I'll throw 4 on, because I knew they were going to be racing hard, and I knew I didn't have a shot with the current tires. So yeah, just put the 4 on, and I mean, honestly, a lot of respect and props to most of the field. I mean, I get racing for a lap or 2. Everyone's racing for spots, which is fine. I raced quite a few guys for a lap or 2, and then eventually got the spot. But just a couple of cars there. Lost a lot of respect for, honestly. I think it was 6-7 laps total of just getting blatantly side drafted and doored and then slide jobbed and you name it. So, which is a little shocking because I never raced with those guys. Never really done anything to deserve that, I don't feel. So definitely cost me there about 6 laps. I mean, I was right there at the end. So if I had gotten those laps back, I think we would have had it. I honestly felt really good about the strategy call.
Well, real quick, before we let you go, we want to go ahead and let you do your thank yous and your shout outs, because you still put on a heck of a show. And for anyone involved in your race team and a part of your ability to be able to come out onto these tracks, it has to be stated that you had points in the race where by far the strongest driver, but overall, that's not what necessarily takes to win the championship. Sometimes a little bit of luck and a little things going your way. Definitely what ended up being probably one of the best championship races that we've seen. At least I've seen, and I've been in a few with you, and I still have to say this was incredible all the way from start to finish. We do want to let you do your thank yous and shout outs to at least be able to showcase that to those that help you get to this point.
Yeah, and real quick, I mean, this track and temp and setup and everything, I think, played out perfectly. I mean, this was arguably the most stacked Final Four, and I think this was one of the best races we've had. It was super racy, could do a lot. Massive shout out to really all the competitors there, the other 3 guys. Real class acts, all of them. They all deserved it. I do got to shout out Burrell, though, specifically. I honestly, I led more laps, I think, than him, but he definitely, to me, had the best car. He was hanging with me the whole time and ended up getting by me there. If it wasn't for that last yellow, he was probably going to drive away with it. So I do feel kind of gutted for Burrell. He's been working real hard these last few seasons and came up short again, and I feel like he was the best car. But also shout out to Weeks. I mean, that was a heck of a strategy call. And to be able to do that and get his second, really cool. And then also, I didn't even realize till about 5 minutes ago, Stanley won again. I feel like it's the third time this week, third
It
day
is
in a
the
row.
third time this week. It is absolutely
Yeah,
the
it's
third
like
time this week.
I don't know what this guy did over the weekend to come into this week like this, but yeah, I don't want to overshadow that either because he's been on quite a roll. So shout out to him and the rest of the team, Crump, Gavel, for a great season. We all got wins. We all ran up front. It was definitely a memorable season. So yeah, shout out to those guys again, the Champ Four, and then you guys here for putting the show on up in the booth.
Well, again, thank you again, Tyler Fody. I'm sure the elite is not done with you racing for a championship in some capacity. So, needless to say, unfortunate tonight, but you'll probably have another shot at it before too long. So, again, congratulations on a good championship run here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That was Tyler Fody. Let's go ahead and bring up Ethan Burrell, our third place driver here tonight. Ethan, I know this stings just a little less due to the fact that it is a driver that you know and like so well, Matthew Weeks getting it. But overall, we heard from Tyler Fody. He believed that you were the strongest. This is definitely the closest you've ever come to winning a championship in the Cup Series. What changed tonight to be able to essentially take that out of your grasp? Because Tyler Fody believed that it was in your hands at one point, and then the cautions and how things worked out took it away from you. Tell me in your aspect, what could have gone differently here where we might have seen you on the top podium here?
Yeah, I think that just that long run getting cut short was probably the biggest factor that was outside of my control, really. I felt like it was after that first round of green flag stops, I really felt like it was going to be a one-on-one between Fody and I. And yeah, I was able to copy him on his pit entry and got a really good stop and got around him. But then yeah, the caution eventually came out, and I guess it kind of flipped the track position with the Champ 4, and made the same call as Weeks, and I could never really get by him. I mean, I was trying everything I could, and it was just so hard to pass on the bottom unless you had a tire advantage. And at that point in the race, there was no tire saving or anything. So um, there's nothing really I left out there. I mean, I hit the wall, I think, coming to the white, but um, I mean, there wasn't. I don't think I could have made a move without knocking him into the fence or something. So it sucks, man. Back to back second place points finishes hurts. Um, Felt really good tonight, but just wasn't meant to be.
I mean, Ethan, take us back to that white flag lap where we finally got a replay of it and got in the wall. Did you have any plans for Weeks? Not necessarily to put him in the fence or anything, but maybe a Carl Edwards style Hail Mary to see if you couldn't slide in front of him and keep the momentum to the line?
Yeah, I was kind of planning on that, just throwing a big slide job until Stanley got up in front of him. I think I probably would have just slammed up into Stanley if I was clear of Weeks if I did that. So I don't know. I was thinking about just kind of bumping him in the center of the corner and seeing if that would upset him a little bit, but I don't know. With the package we had tonight, I don't really know if there was many clean ways I could have set up a move on him there without just being flat out better. But he did everything right at the end there. I didn't have nothing left.
So, before we let you go and everything, we want you to do your thank yous and shout outs because it was your last race for Do Good. I mean, did you make sure to take the copper wire out of the car before you leave and everything? And of course, I want to let you do your thank yous and shout outs for not only Do Good for getting them up into an almost championship winning position, but definitely a strong run for them in Chevy.
Yeah. First of all, shout out Matthew. Him and Fody, but really him. I mean, pretty much dominated the season, the regular season. He did a great job all year, and I mean, definitely, we all four of us kind of agreed. Anybody that won the championship was plenty deserving, given given who the options were. So he did a great job. Shout out Betty for always watching. Austin and his family who were watching tonight, and then my wife Rachel. And yeah, shout out Michael Goodman, man. It's been a fun season riding with those guys. I really wanted a Superman story to come and bring a championship trophy to him, but we got a couple wins. We got a Final Four spot, and I'll always hold Goody and all the Do Good guys in high regards. But yeah, man, I'm excited to jump back in a Toyota next season. Go try to figure out how to get that last spot in the points, because I'm getting good at being the bridesmaid.
Well, that was Ethan Burrell. Final race for Do Good, but still has some woes to get over trying to figure out it. And I'm sure eventually, Ethan, you'll get up there before too long, and you lose all your speed like I have. So
I haven't gone downward yet, so I'm hoping that can
Lucky
delay
you.
that longer.
So, there you go, Ethan. All righty. That was Ethan Burrell, able to come home second, get that second place. There's still some money to be won there, so Ethan Burrell's going to be able to still walk home with some money. But let's see the big money man. He's won all the big events. He won Daytona. He won Indianapolis. Now he can say he won the championship. You just keep winning the big things, don't you? You came into tonight the regular season champion. What kind of mentality did you have to do to be able to make that big strategy play at the end of Old Tires work out?
Really, I just come off pit road like 3 or 4 laps before the caution come out. So when that come out and Tucker told me everyone was pitting, I was just like, dude, I just come out. I was taking it easy. I'm just gonna stay out and see how it goes, and it really paid off big time.
I mean, yeah, Matthew, were you a little concerned there when it seemed like you guys, you short pitted the leaders, you got up in front of them, and they drove back past you and drove away? Were you a little concerned there, and did that go into you, staying out longer, being the last to come to pit road on that last cycle, and which ultimately resulted in you being able to make that strategy call to stay out and win this race?
Yeah, I had a game plan coming in to start the run, and I was just like, I'm just gonna be real easy on entry, slow down the middle, try not to kill the tires. And late in that run before I pitted, I started catching those guys. I just fell back further than everybody, so I burned up a little more. But as I was getting closer and I was looking at the fuel, I was like, if I end the laps, because we were running the same lap times for like 15, 20 laps. I'm like, well, if I pit now, get probably a second or two ahead of them, by the time they catch us, we'll even out. But it didn't work that way, and then I backed once Fody and them cleared me. I kind of backed off a little bit and tried to get my tires back underneath me. And then I started catching Tate and Ethan again, but Fody was checking out. And then I'm like, okay, I got to do something different here. And so when they pitted, I'm like, well, I'm going to flip the reverse and see how maybe I can catch them on the back end of the last 40 laps. And luckily enough, dude, a caution come out literally like, like I said, a couple laps after I come off pit road, and I was saving. So I was just stuck right there. And then when I was told they took 2, I'm like, all right, so they'll be fast for a good probably 10, 15 laps, and then I might be better. And then they pitted again under the next caution. Some of them would take 2, and I'm like, I don't understand why. So I'm stuck right here. I let Stanley. Once Stanley cleared me, I stayed behind him. I'm like, I'm not even going to try to pass you, bro. I'm just going to push you and stay right here.
Well, you are now a two-time champion in the Elite Cup Series, and I know that sounds really good. You're one of only 3 people to get 2 champions. Not yet to 3 like your teammate, but you have next season to be able to try to see if you can do what he did and get 3 champions. How good does that feel knowing that you're a 2-time champion? And then, of course, give us your thank yous and shout-outs what got you to this point. Oh, and just by the way, I pulled out your old the shirt I bought had your paint scheme and everything on it, and I was contemplating on putting it on tonight if that would have made me seem like I was playing favoritisms or anything. But I still have that from your first championship winning season, your old shirt. So you're gonna need to come out with a new one so that way I can get another one.
Yeah, I need to go in and talk to Anthony and get a whole new, 2-time champ shirt made and get that, because I really need that. But man, I totally forgot the question, but what that question was. But Oh no, it's awesome to race to beat Tate Lytle, Ethan Burrell, and Tyler Fody, which I consider 3 of the best guys in this league every single season. To come out and beat those guys in the championship race to win the championship is awesome. And that's why right before the race I put a little picture out of now if some people watch anime and they ever watch Yu Yu Hakusho, right at the dark tournament, Yusuke is about to fight Toguro, and he's massive, and Yusuke's the underdog, and he goes out and wins that fight, dude. That's what I felt like tonight. Me fighting those 3 giants, dude, and I'm glad to come out to win it like that. And how we done it was awesome. But shout out 213. They've been with me for so many seasons and win both championships with those guys. JV Designs, Justin Vandermeer paints these amazing schemes. We're going to bring a new scheme next season and win some more races. You guys in the booth all season, you guys do an amazing job. I've watched every single race probably twice because y'all do so good. Dave behind scenes, man, he does so much for the league, running, doing everything he does. Chad for putting on this league. All my guys at Pro Edge, all my guys that Fueled Up, all my good friends, Austin, Betty. Oh man, there's so many people, dude. It was such a good race. Everyone that watched, it's a good feeling to win like that. So shout out to like literally everybody in the league, everyone that congratulated me. I love racing you guys, and we're gonna come back and do it again next season, hopefully.
We all know Hiei would have won everything, but that's okay.
Hey, he is my favorite guy too, man.
Good job getting that championship, Matthew. And again, congratulations, 2-time champion. Eventually it'll sink in, and eventually those shirts will be made. So we'll let everyone know when they go out.
Oh yeah, in the off season we'll get them done, and I'll post a link and let everyone know.
That's our champion there, Matthew Weeks, 2024 Cup Series champion. Let's go ahead and bring up our last driver. Not a championship for, but he didn't need to be. He came into the night with winning all that he could think about this whole week. Fody wondered what you were on to get 3 wins in a row, 3 days in a row. What's going on, Ethan? You got a new setup or something? What's got you in this winning habit?
I wish I knew myself. Just really enjoyed these combos this week. Figured out Kansas pretty well. And yeah, I just kind of been on a little bit of a streak. Hopefully I'll keep that up going into next season, but pretty happy with a win.
Yeah, Stan, take me through the season a little bit. I mean, it's been I think a little bit of a disappointment on our end. We were kind of anticipating you being one of the guys in this championship fight, and it just didn't work out that way. What were you able to figure out regarding this next gen car and kind of saving those tires this week that you hadn't had the rest of the season?
I mean, I think it's just the track. More about saving the right front, and like Richmond, I ran well, but I just couldn't save tires. Just a bad set of tracks for me in the playoffs. I don't think much has really changed. Maybe I've learned a little bit more about the next gen, but I'm a little bit disappointed in my season. Could have been a lot more consistent. Could have won a couple races that I didn't. But just positive outlook to next season. Hopefully, it's a bit better.
Well, again, congratulations on the victory. You raced very cleanly to be able to get there. Everyone has to respect that, and being able to not only race a very hard racetrack where passing is difficult, but do it as respectfully as you did was very incredible there. Go ahead and give us your final shout-outs of the season here before we let you go.
Yeah, big shout out to Blue Egg Marketing for being on the car the whole season. JD Designs for making beautiful paints for my cars. Shout out to the guys at Lake Norman. We had a great season overall. But just a shame for Fody. He couldn't quite get through the field fast enough. And just big shout out to you guys for doing the whole season, and everybody that makes the league run.
Absolutely. That's tonight's winner, Ethan Stanley. Probably wishing that we race tomorrow and the next day and the next day so he could just keep winning. But
Well, I'll try
he
to
will
win
have
tomorrow.
Yeah, well, if you do.
You're gonna come steal one from me.
MX5's
Oh,
North
gotcha.
American.
Yep. 4 elite races in 4 days. I think that's been done one time before. You might be number 2 in that kind of company, but you got to win tomorrow.
That's the goal.
All right, that's Ethan Stanley there. Appreciate him being able to come on and give us his thank yous. But Yeah, that's the end of 2024 A Cup Series, and what a way for us to have a finish for Belly Up Sports, and for them to be able to have such an awesome finale of 4 drivers where really at all different points of the race they were all favorites at one point and all leading at one point. So incredible stuff. Thank you, Dave Huckleberry, for the amazing job this entire season of putting up with both David and I and our yelling and our talking, and of course having to deal with Chad, which is, you know, I don't
Its
think
own
money
challenge.
pays for that. Yeah, that's it's its own thing. And of course, thank you, David Huckleberry. You'll do an amazing job next season with Zach Evans in the booth, and I can't wait to listen to you guys be able to recall all the excitingness from all these drivers.
Yeah, and thanks, Gerald. It was a great season working with you, and we had 18 really good races, and it's you build a repertoire with announcers, and I feel like we saved our best for the end. I felt like we put on a really good show tonight, and hopefully everybody agrees, and we're able to come back next season and have a really good one. And yeah, but thanks, Gerald, for all you've done and for the podcast and everything. It seems like it's really brought some eyes on, and we've put together a really good broadcast for everybody. And thanks to these drivers for putting on a really good season, because this final race was awesome. These guys ran their hearts out, and congrats to Matthew Weeks, of course.
Absolutely. Congrats to Matthew Weeks for winning that championship. Well deserved. Thank you, everyone at home as well, for tuning in to tonight. We will be posting more information about the next season as far as when those will be going. As far as us here in the booth, we have one final thing to say to you. Thank you, and of course, stay happy.